Morse. Click edmorsesawgrassbuickgmc.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Hey, everybody. Good morning, everybody. It is another edition of Game Day Uncensored here on 560 WQAM. Tobin here with you alongside my co-host Alejandro Solana, who is ready and rev to go. He hates the New England Patriots with every bone in his body. Hello, Solana. How are you today?
Yeah, it's weird though, right? Because it's not the same Patriots that we hated with Tommy Brady and Bill Belichick, Tobin. But the hate is still there. You know, the dislike is still there. It's still fresh. I woke up this morning just in a bad mood. Like, all these Bostonians are going to be here in South Florida. They all still, they talk about their rings and they talk about their Celtics. And I'm just sick of it already, man. Let's go, Tua. Let's go. Bring it strong today, Dolphins. Come on.
Well, he always brings it strong against the Patriots. He owns them almost like Josh Allen owns the Dolphins. Like, he has never lost to the Patriots. Tua has had some kind of mind ownership over them since he's walked into the NFL. But look, every one of these, I think Tyreek Hill put it well this week, Solana. Every one of these feels like a playoff game already for the Miami Dolphins because of what they dug themselves. And they have this game here today with an ability to kind of reset the season on Thanksgiving if they're able to get this win today. But we've seen a team that's definitely shifted, I think, in identity. They sustain drives, they kill clock, but they're efficient. I mean, they're scoring at will. They're making all their drives. It's very few that are coming up empty-handed. And last week, I think we saw as complete a performance as we've seen from them this season.
Yeah, and I know, it's easy to say, well, it's against the Raiders. And we're going to get into it, Tobin, today, because are the Dolphins being more efficient? Is it a matter of, hey, this is just what the defense is giving them? Have they kind of abandoned the idea of the big play? I don't know, because Tua said, I still want to throw the ball deep as well. And today, I'd like to see that. I'd like to have some fun today. This is a stretch here. 2 games, right? You had coming off that Monday Night Football win. Okay, you win that game. You kind of make us believe a little bit, right, Tobin? Make us believe. Then you beat the Raiders, you beat the Patriots, you handle business. Then it's the big one. Thursday, short week, probably going to be a snow fest, probably going to be a snow game in Green Bay. Win this one, though. And let's have some fun doing it, right? Let's have some fun. I want to see the deep ball today. You've been saying that on your show. I've been listening to you, and Leroy's been crushing you. We're saying, why can't it be both? Why can't they have long, efficient drives, but also be fun again? Give me a He's Got Hill from Kevin Harlan every now and then. I'd like to see that today.
Yeah, the Spiro Adidas doesn't hit quite the same as it does with Kevin Harlan. But, I will say with last week, while, we haven't gotten necessarily the monster catch Cheetah in stride or catch Jalen Waddle in stride, I did think we saw we've seen some pretty great plays from Tua. I didn't find last week's game to be a snooze fest. I found, them, part of it was, the Raiders blowing things, but I think, Tua extending plays, Tua, getting out and on the move a little bit. Like, I think we have seen an exciting element. It's definitely different. It's not greatest show on surf. It's not quite that, but it is something that I think that they have realized it maybe is more sustainable and puts the games in their hands a little bit more. And for, those drives where, hey, it doesn't click because those plays are hard to come by, then all of a sudden, you know what, you're still methodically moving down the field. Maybe you end up with 3 points. And what have they scored? 28 points in 3 out of their last 4. Like, they've been a very efficient offense. And so you're hopeful this can keep carrying over. I think this is definitely a team in New England. I think you hear Gerard Mayo speak about the Dolphins team that they're about to face. And yeah, they got a nice young rookie quarterback who definitely makes them more dynamic than they were when they took on a Jacoby Brissett team, because you knew that team you were going against a plotting, not going to move the football, hoping to prey on your mistakes. And they almost did. I mean, the Dolphins played an awful game against New England. It was the lone game they won without Tua.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was the Dolphins shooting themselves in the foot. And I think, you have that feeling because Mike McDaniel doesn't necessarily like to take credit away from his opponents. And even that game, he was like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have been down to a heel on winning this game. And he's right. I mean, how many bad snaps did they have? How many turnovers did they have to put themselves in that position? And so this is a game where you're hoping to say, hey, while they're only separated by one win, you could see that they're separated by a lot of talent today. And that's the performance I think the fans should expect.
Yeah, and to be fair, though, New England's playing a lot better, right? They're going to look better, I think, today than they looked in that game in New England back in week 5 or whatever it was, Tobin. I think they're sort of revitalized with Drake May. To me, he's a better option already than Jacoby Brissett. And it's going to be a different game today, in my opinion. It should still, though, lean towards the Dolphins showing how much more talent than the New England Patriots they have. But going back to, that conversation about how this offense looks and the approach, and perhaps it's more sustainable down the stretch of games, right? Where it's not big play, get the ball to Tyreek, force feed Tyreek, how it felt last year a lot. What did we talk about a year ago? It's something that Omar Kelly told us a million times. In December and January, how do you win football games? You run the football, right? Your offensive line has to be really good. You run the football, and then your quarterback makes big plays on third down. He can extend plays. He makes the big throws to go and win games, obviously, but running the football is so important. And I think last year, so much of what got in the way of the Dolphins contending against those top teams, we remember the record. I mention it all the time, 1-6 against playoff teams a year ago. The one win, Jason Sanders bailed you out against the Dallas Cowboys team that probably wasn't even that good. What got in the way? Was it the fact that you couldn't run the offense that worked against all the bad teams, force-feeding Tyreek Hill because they're just too good? They were taking that away from you. So now Mike McDaniel's approach, despite it perhaps not being as electrifying, despite it perhaps not being as fun, is more sustainable, more suitable to go beat those teams. It's a more methodical approach. And I like that, right? Because the idea that, hey, something has to change from a year ago to this year. Well, the roster didn't change that much. To be honest, the roster didn't really get better this year. So how are the Dolphins going to take that next step? And I think this is part of that process, which is him saying, maybe this isn't as fun. Maybe the wins don't look as sexy, but this is the way that we have to approach these games in order to be ready to do it against the top teams.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that next step is. They do have this huge thing because, look, if they don't win this game today, we're going to be having conversations like they're the New York Jets. I mean, the Jets have been fun, laughing at them being in disarray. But if the Dolphins lose today to a Patriots team with a rookie quarterback in their building, then we're all going to be jumping out of a window. It's going to be in a bad state. So this is a very big one before they get to this showcase game on the road, prime time, probably bad weather, that I think can exercise a lot of those demons and will make you feel like, hey, the stretch run can be simple, but first they got to take care of this one. But I think that they know. I think even Gerard Mayo, listening to him this week, I think knows he's got a different type of juggernaut coming there with Tua running the team. Tua's he's playing marvelous right now. I think you just see, he's taking what the defense is giving him, but he's also just made some things happen that I don't know if he does as good a job of that last year. And, Tyreek Hill will tell you it's because he's not fat anymore. He's more elusive. He's more, I don't know, whatever it is, if it's a gluten-free Tua and he's just moving better, I still don't love when he gets out on the run because I get scared every time he's going for a first down, but his ability to now just elude pass rush and move around in the pocket and then get out of the pocket and still make plays. A lot of the times when we would see Tua in years past, I think that's when we would see the dangerous throws and some of the worst interceptions you've seen in your life. He definitely, to me, seems like a guy who knows what he's doing when he's going off script a little bit more or things are breaking down. And I think that you're seeing the growth of a quarterback for sure.
He's always been confident doing that, though, right? Coming out of college, Tobin, it's not like Tua was this, pristine pocket passer. The dude was talented at Alabama, getting out of the pocket, just being elusive enough, not necessarily down the field, but to be able to avoid a tackle, make a play. So, he came into the league confident enough doing that. The problem is, well, he got his lights knocked out a couple times doing it. So I think, he lost confidence there. But it's funny you mentioned that because I don't know how much of the broadcast you listened last week on CBS, but they had Ross Tucker on the broadcast, and I forgot who the play-by-play guy was, and I think also Greasy was on the broadcast as well.
I think it was Jay Feely.
Oh, Jay
I don't
Feely.
remember who the
You're right.
play-by-play guy was either, but I remember it was Ross Tucker and Jay
No,
Feely.
you're right. Jay Feely, excuse me. And throughout the first half, they kept talking about how Tua can't get out of the pocket, how the Dolphins don't want Tua to hold on to the ball. They must have mentioned this like 10 times. The more he holds on to that football, the longer that play goes, the worse for the Dolphins. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to get the ball out under 3 seconds. But then every big play Tua made in that football game was him getting out of the pocket, was him just being elusive, getting out and making a play. The Jonnu Smith touchdown was a perfect example. The second one where he runs to his right, there's really nobody open. Everybody's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then boom, finds Jonnu Smith wide open, nobody within 50 yards of him. And he walked in for the longest play the Dolphins have had in probably, I don't know, a season. So it is funny how everybody has this vision of who Tua needs to be. And I think I fall into that category as well. Don't run. Get rid of the football. No, what are you doing? But that's not him. Like, he's fine. He's comfortable getting out. He just has to be smarter when he does. We've seen one too many mistakes when he doesn't. But so far, 2-week sample size, dude's playing football at the highest level we've probably seen in a really long time.
We'll take a break. We'll get more into that Raiders victory for the Miami Dolphins. A lot of interesting things coming out of that win as we get you ready for Dolphins and Patriots Week 12 as your Miami Dolphins look to continue to climb out of the under 500 hole. We'll take a break. Back with more Game Day Uncensored after this.
WQAM broadcasting live from the Ed Moore
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It is game day, uncensored here on 560 WQAM. Tobin here with you alongside Alejandro Solana, Dan Day, producing our program today. So you have an abbreviated post-game today, Dan Day, if people are looking for your post-game reaction.
Yeah, early and abbreviated. So 3:30 till about 4:45.
All right, there you go. We got Heat basketball. We got a busy day here on 560 with some hoops. Canes, they're going to try and right the ship on this Charleston Classic. Hasn't been going very classic for them so far. And so they'll get going today. We'll be done at 12:30 for the pregame edition. But then Miami Heat, they'll be back on the hardwood finally after a long break, taking on the Dallas Mavericks today. No Luka. And Jimmy was on the injury report with an illness, but he did post on Instagram a shooting session at the gym. So I would assume that means, never assume anything with Jimmy Butler, but I would assume that sounds good for him playing tonight against the Dallas Mavericks after having 5 days off. So got hoops coming up, obviously, with the Miami Dolphins. We got a big one here with the New England Patriots. They're all big ones at this point, no matter who the opponent is, Solana.
Every game is like the next most important game of the season. Every game, Tobin, you said, if the Dolphins lose this one, we're going to be talking about whatever you said, jumping off bridges, right? Man, if they didn't win the last two, right? They didn't win Monday Night Football. They didn't win against Las Vegas. All these shows would be about what is Chris Greer's future? What does it look like? Is Mike McDaniel on the hot seat? It's what they're doing in New York right now. Like the Jets are a dumpster fire. And that's what they're doing, right? Like, is Aaron Rodgers going to start the rest of the year? I saw a report yesterday. He wants to play, but the Jets don't exactly want him back. He wants to play next year for another team. How's that going to look like? Should they release him? Like that's what our shows would be like. And as long as the Dolphins keep winning, they win today, which they should, then, you go into next week with some sort of like focal point. Okay, if they do this the rest of the way, they still have a chance. They're in the hunt. Who needs to lose? Like, at the very least, we're just talking about different scenarios that can get them into the conversation. If they lose today, if they lose to a rookie quarterback at home and they fall 3 games below 500, then it's simple. The rest of the season, we'll be doing those shows. We'll be doing hey, what is Chris Greer's future like? Should the Dolphins retain Chris Greer? Is Tua still the right guy for the job, even though he's been playing well? Is Mike McDaniel the right guy? Like, those are the shows we're doing. And I don't want to do those shows. I don't want to do that. We'll have a whole offseason
I understand
for that.
But it's a thin
line. Don't lose this game. Don't lose this game.
It's a thin line between wild card and you're the Jets. Like, it's not as far off as you think. So while, I agree, I don't feel like they've been near the dumpster fire that the Jets are, because the Jets basically handed their organization over to a senior citizen, and maybe the owner has his college-age son making decisions for them, so they seem like they're a lot further off. But the Dolphins, they have to keep winning, or I'm not going to allow what has occurred this season to deter what the expectations were going into the season. And so while I'm all for the Dolphins having a nice story, and hey, Tua has played a lot better, there are differences for sure, because I think Tua is a good quarterback, and I think Tua has played well. He hasn't really been outside of dropping a snap to get them to a safety. He's played very good football. But you're still an older roster. You're still a roster that you paid Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And while it's been nice that, hey, they've been able to make themselves more well-rounded, you're also looking at, all right, well, you paid all this money to these 2 receivers. Do you even really use them that much? Are they still the same impact? I'm sure that they are. I'm just trying to boil it down to like the most simplistic things of how it is if you don't win today's game against the Patriots, who have nothing to lose. Like, they're playing with a rookie quarterback. They're playing with house money right now because they're in the midst of a rebuild. you're trying to claw your way out of stumbling out of the blocks, your quarterback getting hurt. And so, and the other thing, Solana, is like, if you don't win this game and you wanted to be the most optimistic person, like you look at the schedule and the tough road games that are ahead and some of the competition that's ahead. Yeah, this is supposed to be one of the layups. You got to win this one.
Yeah. And I'm with you, right? Like, does winning today, does making the play, like, let's say the Dolphins do go on this magical run, they make the postseason. Does that take away, does it negate how bad this team looked over 5 weeks, 4 games with the bye week included without Tua? The fact that they didn't have a backup plan for when Tua went down, the fact that they genuinely trotted Skylar Thompson out there after 3 years under their system, like, does it negate any of that? No. Does it negate the fact that, you know, the team itself probably wasn't constructed properly in the offseason, even though we were kind of sold a bill of goods? Probably not. Like, there's a lot of conversations that need to be had, but I think, Tobin, if they can salvage this season, win the games they're supposed to win, beat some of the teams that they haven't been able to beat, and you know, end 10-7, 9-8, and go on this big time run, and Tua continues to play the way he's been playing, I think there's something to be said for that as well. As much as a Tua detractor as I've been known to be, and as much as I've questioned this regime, I think there's something to be said about that as well. How many teams can survive losing their starting quarterback for 4 games? Not that many. And I know this is a different situation, and there's a lot more context than just saying it simplistically like that. But to be able to be in a situation where they were 4 games below 500, Tobin, and actually go down the stretch and make something happen, I think there's something to be said about, you know, the resolve of a team like that.
Well, they win last week. They beat the Raiders 34-19. Tua, he throws for 288, 3 touchdowns. He had 127.8 rating. Jonnu Smith, I mean, he has been incredible this year, especially, I would say, like, since Tua's return. I mean, you've really unlocked something with him. But even that, like, you think about he was really the safety blanket of Snoop for a time over the middle and things like that. So he's really been a delight. He's been tremendous. Tua's looking good, extending his plays. All that type of stuff has been fantastic. And then Tua also seems like he kind of broke Antonio Pierce after the game. We knew going into that game, Antonio Pierce wanted him to retire. He was asked about it afterwards. Here was the Raiders head coach following the Dolphins win.
You made some comments regarding Tua and his concussion history earlier this year. Did you have any talks with him, maybe on the field at any point in the game?
No, I got the ultimate respect for Tua, former player. That was it.
That's good.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Antonio. Coach Pierce.
Talk about walking back your comments, you bum.
Yeah, he had nothing to say. It's like, do I have anything to say? No, I don't. Made me look a fool.
He probably won't be there too much longer either, man.
Who knows? I mean, look, he's got Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Like, how much of it, and his lost Christian Wilkins this year, how much of it is his fault, you know?
Yeah.
But you never know what that crazy Mark Davis and that haircut's gonna do. you can't really account for it. There was a point though, like on the Jonnu Smith touchdown they released where they showed Tyreek Hill mocking the sidelines, and here was the cheetah explaining what he was doing to Antonio Pierce and the Raiders.
Nah, so like their whole sideline was telling me the whole game, like saying, "Oh, jam him up, he can't get off a jam." So when Jonah was open, I was like, "Oops, sorry." Yeah, so that was great, man. It was a great moment, man. Football is always fun, man. Like, especially in a moment like that, when your teammate is scoring and then you're obviously on their sideline. So I get a chance to talk trash. Nothing against Coach Pierce. He's obviously a great coach. He's been doing a great job, you know, with that team. So yeah, it was nothing.
Nothing against him. We just had to get that business.
You can't do that. You can't say nothing against Coach Pierce. Love him, great guy. You just insulted him. Like, he didn't just, you know, make a little sign. He stood in front of the guy for a minute and just mocked him for a full minute after the Dolphins ended their season. And then, oh, but that's my guy. That's my guy. You can't do that. You can't insult somebody to go, but that's my guy.
It was one of those things too where Antonio Pierce, you know, I'm sure in another day and age when he's a menacing defender, taking people's heads off, and like now you have to be this buttoned up professional, and all he can just give him is the most dismissive wave away, like, because you have to be a professional. You have to be a head of an organization. And meanwhile, you have Mike McDaniel on the other sidelines. He's mocking Max Crosby, who, by the way, is going to be a Dolphin. I don't know when, I don't know how, but that guy really seems to love Max Crosby. And I would venture to guess, like, once they start selling off parts, the Raiders next year, the first call is going to be Mike McDaniel to Max Crosby, because that guy seems to love him some Max Crosby.
McDaniel's been like underneath recruiting, or maybe even a little tampering here every now and then.
It looked like
through Hard Knocks. Yeah, through Hard Knocks, he does it on the field. Anytime, like, McDaniel's making sure the NFL schedules the Raiders every year just so that he can cross paths with Max Crosby. Like, man, does he love that guy?
He like hugs him. He goes, "I love you so much. Please come here next year, please."
Yeah, knowing our luck, Max Crosby comes to the Dolphins, tears his ACL week 2. That's the way it works here.
I can't disagree with you, but he's like making jokey jokes with him on the sidelines, mic'd up. He's like, "We never had a play called LOL." It's like, you don't make jokes with that with somebody you genuinely, because Max Crosby could probably just hammer his head into the ground like Looney Tunes if he wanted to.
Sure, yeah, he could break him into 17 pieces if he wanted to.
Although apparently Eichenberg was saying to Max Crosby, he goes, easy to irritate, which I love that Liam Eichenberg now has become like the master irritant of the Miami Dolphins. He's new Christian Wilkins. Like, we're running at who's going to take the Christian Wilkins role now that Christian Wilkins is gone. Apparently it's Eichenberg. Eichenberg's just freaking everybody out. He's taking headbutts. He's getting penalties every single week. He just knows how to badger people.
He's become like an agitator almost, and it came out of left field because Tobin, maybe it's our biases. Like, none of us liked Liam Eichenberg, and there's a lot of reasons why. Okay, I'm sure he's a nice guy in person, but none of us liked Liam Eichenberg. I thought the team felt the same way. I don't know why. I had no real reason to actually believe that, but the team loves this guy, bro.
They do.
Like, he poked out Zach Sealer's eye. Zach Sealer didn't snitch on him. He's like, nah, I don't know who it was. I don't know. I think it was just a random finger that was just floating around on the field. And we all know who it was. Like,
we all know who it was. Like,
no one who it was, but nobody snitched on this dude.
Yeah, no one will confirm it, and in fact, he has denied it. But I know it was Eichenberg, and I'm not reporting. I'm just like, I know an eye poker when I see one, and that guy, and especially, like, by the way, his resume on the field has not deterred me from this. I'm convinced Eichenberg broke Zach Sealer's eye, and the only reason he doesn't snitch is because that's his friend. He loves him, and he knows that the fans would be pissed at him.
So you watched all 8 minutes that the Dolphins posted of Mike McDaniel mic'd up?
Loved it.
Yeah, it was good. But it's see, that's the type of stuff. It's fun when the Dolphins are winning, right? It's fun when the Dolphins are winning. Yeah, when they're not winning, it's not as cutesy. The Dolphins aren't posting 8 minutes of content of Mike McDaniel. You know what I mean? Like, that's the difference. And I think you're talking about, it's a fine line between being in the hunt and the Jets. It's a fine line with Mike McDaniel where you love him when things are going right. You love all the silliness and the wackiness, the outside of the box head coach when you're winning. When you're not winning, hey, shut up, win some football games. Okay, enough with the silly stuff on the sidelines, because I love it. I love him talking to the ref. I love him, trolling Liam Eichenberg's brother that his mom told him he's the better Eichenberg. Like, I love all that stuff when you're winning football games. When you're not, I don't want to see any of that stuff. I'm sick of it.
I also like just mic'd up Mike McDaniel more than press conference Mike McDaniel, because press conference Mike McDaniel will give me 7 minutes on Tua extending the play, and I'm just like, oh, Jesus. This is too much. Too much talking.
He's wittier on the sideline. He's like quicker. He has like jabs to everybody. Yeah, to the official. The official's telling him, you got to be in the box, no more timeouts. He's like, oh, but I missed you. I want to be next to you. Like, he's got these witty little jabs that are really funny. And the presser, I mean, it's like you're pulling hairs to get him to say what he wants to say.
He's like a crowd work comic. He does better with the energy off of people than making his own material.
Right. Like, he's not good one-on-one, but he's excellent when he's just got people he can make fun of right there in front row. He's looking for like the overweight guy with a really attractive girl to just torch them about their relationship.
We'll take a break. Speaking of Mike McDaniel, a national report coming out today about a deal the Dolphins were on the verge of making that he vetoed. Plus, we'll get into a little bit of their run game. Devon Achane has been sensational. More Game Day Uncensored after this.
I'm Hayward Highsmith from the Miami Heat. Listen
AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. No matter where you lease your vehicle, bring it to Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC, your lease return headquarters. It's all a part of being backed by Morse. Click EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It is game day, uncensored here on 560 WQAM. Take you guys up until 12:30 today. We got Canes Hoops coming on after us as they are in the Charleston Classic right now. But let us get to our player to watch, which is brought to you by the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Devon Achane, Solana, he has been sensational. He had 21 touches for over 100 yards and a TD last week. He is very clearly RB1 now. He has solidified that. There's no Raheem Mostert breathing down his neck. And Mike McDaniel, this was him earlier in the week, talking about he's seeing a more mature Devon Achane on the field.
I think Devon was really at the top of his game yesterday. Was doing some things on the field that there was a lot of plays that he made that maybe weren't the 40-yarders that he's broken in his career, but were 7-yard gains that could have been -3. Was a 9-yard gain that could have been a 2-yard gain. He was really playing well. So in those situations, we kind of lean on the hot hand, so to speak. And I think he's really made it difficult in game situations, the last two in particular, to take him off the field. But that's we try to leave that room for guys to decide for us during the game on how much playtime they'll get and respond appropriately.
Achane has been, really, really great. Solana, probably their number one playmaker they go to every single week. It's funny enough, when they played the Patriots, that was the game that he got knocked out. He took that double hit, which ended up him getting concussed in that game, which ended up being Raheem Mostert's best game of the season, him and Alec Ingold, who have both dealt with their own injuries this year. And I'm sure, Raheem being a little bit older, but you almost wonder if he didn't get hurt in that game, would Raheem even have that one? Because so much has been made this week, Solana, of a Mike McDaniel who's ruling with an iron fist. He's taking jobs. He's holding guys accountable. But, I think it just might be as simple as Devon Achane has very clearly earned that starting nod over Raheem Mostert. And Raheem Mostert is old. He is not a young man. What he did last year was sensational, but Devon Achane just seems like he's been playing head and shoulders above him.
Both things can be true, though, right, Tobin? Devon Achane has earned his role. Devon Achane has earned his uptick in touches. Devon Achane, in my opinion, I had this written down for when we were going to talk about him. He's been the Dolphins' most consistent player this season on the offensive side of the football, period. When he's out there, he's constantly being targeted by Tua, and whether it's Tobin on the first drive of the game versus Vegas, Dolphins faced a 3rd and 7. I think they're on their own 36-yard line, 37-yard line, but whatever. They're in their own territory. That's a tough spot to be in. 3rd and 7, first drive of the game, and you're in your own territory, 3rd and long. Tua throws it to the flat. Guess who's there? Devon Achane. Nobody around him, and he's able to just catch, turn, go, pick up the first down. Dolphins move the chains, but he's also been able to run the football better than anybody else on this roster. When he's been out there, whether or not it's been Tua, whether or not it was Skylar Thompson, doesn't matter. He's been the Dolphins' most effective player on offense this year. He's transitioned as well as anybody from the way the Dolphins were playing a year ago to how the Dolphins were playing this season. That's why he's getting those touches, but also Raheem Mostert has cost the Dolphins a couple games. So both things can be true, right? Achane has earned it, but also Raheem Mostert, maybe don't fumble the football 2 times in 3 games, and you'd still be getting touches as well.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where I think Mike McDaniel, if there's anybody he could go and talk to about roles and where it's at, it's probably a guy that he's been with as long as Raheem Mostert. And maybe it just kind of has a perception that it's a beneficial thing for the Miami Dolphins to have that. But I think more so than anything, it's just, this is kind of like it's the cycle of the NFL. Like a young guy, fresher legs, more explosive is taking the role of somebody. Look, in fairness, started off the year with a bad injury that kept him out for a few weeks and just hasn't really looked like himself and has had those critical turnovers that have blown some games for Miami. So yeah, I think both things can be true, but I think I lean more this is an Achane thing more than a Mike McDaniel sending a message thing.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And man, when you just think about like this roster moving forward, bro, I want Achane here forever. Like keep this dude here forever, Tobin. When you think of all the things he can do, like if the Dolphins are approaching all these games, which is how Tua said, I'm just taking what the defense is giving me. Okay, they're gonna try to keep everything underneath. I want Achane catching 8-9 passes a game if that's what's open, right? Like if he's open in the flat, throw it to him. He's just as fun to watch as anybody else. So if he's open, like I'm cool with Achane catching all these passes underneath and just letting him go pick up as many yards as he can, as well as handing the ball off to him. Also, like I know he's good as a carrier, but when he catches passes, like there's something special about it.
So there's this other report that came out today, speaking of Mike McDaniel, from Ian Rappaport. That's a little strange. It says the headline is Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel nixed Calais Campbell trade to Ravens ahead of the trade deadline. The report reads, prior to the NFL trade deadline on November 5th, the Ravens went big game hunting, hoping to solidify their defensive front with a familiar face. Calais Campbell was the target. He thrived in Baltimore before, and the Ravens were hoping he would again. Yet as the deal got closer, sources say, the Dolphins resisted at various points over a hectic 2 days before the deadline. Sources involved believed the deal was getting done and Campbell would return to Baltimore. That was until Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel stepped in. Sources say McDaniel stopped the deal, believing that Campbell was too valuable to lose. McDaniel told Campbell to his face in a meeting. McDaniel couldn't get behind dealing with one of the team leaders and defensive stalwarts, even if it would clear some money and bring back a 2026 fifth rounder for the team that was 2-6 and without a lot of hope for a turnaround. McDaniel valued the leadership and kept the faith in his team. Perhaps there was a chance that Dolphins could turn around. If so, Campbell would certainly help. And if there's something to play for in November and December, they wanted him to be on the field. So there you go. That was the report that came out today from NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. This is from our own Omar Kelly, who's going to be joining us later on. Omar Kelly, Miami Dolphins columnist from the Miami Herald, who, of course, ruffled some feathers this week, talking about, was it this week or last week, about Calais Campbell. The Dolphins should voluntarily release him if they do fall out of the race. Omar said, the team talked to Calais Campbell about this, and he actually preferred to stay, but the team has discussed potentially releasing him at the end of the season if they are not in the playoff mix. So with that in mind, it kind of, to me, Solana, like, when I see something like this come out, I'm like, why is this out there? Like, what is the idea? What is the benefit of it? And to me, it feels like more of a Mike McDaniel paints him in the positive. Like, no, because I don't like it, the way that it's making it sound on the report is like Chris was on the phone with Baltimore and he goes, all right, let's do. No, Chris, no, don't deal Calais, and like dives over the phone to stop the trade. And I'm like, all right, this seems a bit dramatic from Ian Rappaport to have this out there, but it's a cool thing to have because it's like Mike McDaniel believes in it. He wouldn't let them deal Calais Campbell, because I kind of agree with Omar. Like, you're not sending Calais Campbell without talking to him about where he wants to go, and you know, maybe and what that ramification would be. You want to be the guy that believes in your locker room, and so if you know you're 2-6 and Calais Campbell's like, yeah, I kind of would like to go to. I would be interested in going back to Baltimore because they look awesome right now. I mean, they look like Super Bowl contenders 2 weeks ago. Then the move is, well, we'll release you if this all falls on our face. Because really, Solana, what is a 2026 6th round pick? Like, that's nothing.
It's nothing. first of all, the fans would have been pissed if they had traded Calais Campbell. I wouldn't have been upset with that because I still think it's a long shot at what they're trying to accomplish here. But Tobin, you would agree, right? Like the fan base would have been heated had the Dolphins dealed Calais Campbell because at that point, right before the trade deadline, we didn't have these victories. The only thing we had this season was the fact that we have a 75-year-old that played at the University of Miami on the field killing people. And he was doing it at the highest level, and it's insane that he's this old and he's playing at this level. Like, that's the only thing we had. Tua hadn't even come back yet. Like, this is all we had to hang our hat on. And for them to move that guy, the only positive story, I think the fan base would have been upset. But isn't it interesting? Like, Calais is on Monday Night Football. He's clearly the player of the game. He's talking with Scott Van Pelt, and he's just talking about this team and the resolve and how much he believes in this team, and there's no give up in this team. But he was comfortable being traded 2 weeks prior to that. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of layers to this story that I find interesting as well. I think it's cool. It's definitely a little PR move by Mike McDaniel. Let's not get that wrong.
That's what I feel like. You know, like, and honestly, to me, it's like, wow, that, like, to me, that's almost like it's more of an impression. Like, if they had like a deal they couldn't turn down, like a third rounder or a second rounder for Calais Campbell, I'm like, all right, I feel you there, Mike. But it's like, we can't do it. We can't sacrifice a 2026 fifth, sixth round pick and give up Calais at this point. It's like, what? What did
I guarantee it was not a second rounder, because if Chris Greer, I love Calais Campbell. If Chris Greer didn't take a second rounder for Calais Campbell 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would be pissed. A second rounder? Are you kidding me? Like, that's way more valuable than whatever the hell this type of run is going to end up being. You know, the Dolphins aren't going to make the Super Bowl this year. You take the second rounder. As much as I love Calais, I mean, let's be honest, Tobin. You
got to sell high.
Yeah, I mean,
you would sell Calais Campbell for a second round pick. You're like, all right, see you. Thanks for the speeches.
If I'm Chris Greer, I'm packing his bags. I'm sending a moving truck out, whatever you need, Calais. Sorry, we got a second rounder for you, bro. Sorry about that.
Love the visual Ian Rappaport is sending of him kicking in Chris Greer's door. No, Chris, no. I still believe. If only Mostert didn't fumble, we could be 3-3 right now.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But I will say, look, he very clearly is the emotional leader of the team, Calais Campbell. Like, he's doing the speeches afterwards. Everybody gravitates towards the guy. I'm glad that he's here. I love Calais Campbell. You know, the guy has been absolutely tremendous. But yeah, I think there's probably something to what Omar's saying. Like, hey, if this thing does go off the rails, if they do jet it up today and they end up losing this game, yeah, maybe they will look to say, hey, you know, hey, where do you want to go? Because I think that they do. I think for him to come here and do what he's done, I think they do probably want to do right by him. And this is probably an element of that, of him being involved in trade talks potentially when things were looking really, really bleak. But I think ultimately, like, Calais would love to be part of something that, you know, could be turned around. We'll just see if it does. But if it doesn't, if it still is looking bad by the time we finish Thanksgiving, then, you know, maybe there'll be another path out for him some other way. And Omar's not as crazy as everybody makes him out to be.
Yeah, I like it. To me, it's weird though. Again, I'm just going back to the comments that Calais had, where, yeah, I mean, the way that he's talking about this team and how they haven't given up on each other, and how nobody in that locker room has lost faith in going, you know, to salvage this season. But behind the scenes, he's having conversations, and it's like, yeah, well, if we lose to the Patriots, I want to get the hell out of here. Like, it's just funny how football players will get in front of a camera and say whatever the hell they got to say.
You're calling him a liar.
Yeah, I'm not calling Calais Campbell a liar. I think he's doing the right thing. I'm not, and I think he's doing the right thing, and I love him, and I think he's having a great season, and I'm not trying to disrespect the dude. But I'm just saying, it is funny how you get in front of a camera, you talk all about how nobody's given up on this team. There isn't a single guy in that locker room who's given up on this team. But hey, Chris Greer, behind closed doors, if we lose to the stinking Patriots, cut my ass so I can go win a Super Bowl title with another team.
Yeah, but like he hasn't given up on the team. He's played tremendous. He's
You're
played
right.
better than anybody else on the team at
You're
38 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, I'm not.
He hasn't played like
I'm
a guy
not
who
hating.
the other guys. Jordan Poyer looks like he's played like he's quit.
Well, Jordan Poyer hasn't looked like he's tried once this season. Man, that's been frustrating too to hear Anthony Weaver's comments about Jordan Poyer. Tobin, I'm not hating on Calais Campbell. I hope he gets what he wishes for. If the Dolphins,
If anybody's a phony here, it's Mike McDaniel. It's not Calais Campbell.
Mike McDaniel throwing a football across the field while Chris Greer's on the cell phone. Hang up, Chris! Hang up!
We gotta have that 5th round pick in 2 years. All right, we'll take a break. We'll talk to Adam Beasley. We'll talk to Omar Kelly later on in today's program. We'll take a break. More to come here on Gameday Uncensored. Back after this.
Football coverage on says Mike McDaniel.
That is something that has been on the forefront of our guys' minds in terms of, we're finding different ways to execute and move the ball down the field and score points. And I think that's an important part of the process when you're talking about a winning formula for big games and elimination games in particular, which is what we're trying to grow to.
And Tua is ready.
We're preparing for uncertainty if there is defensively, but it's very similar to the structure they've had over the past few years when Coach Belichick was the coach there. So we're looking to go out there and play, the plays with what they've presented us over the years. And if we need to adjust in any way, we'll adjust.
The Patriots are not the Patriots of old anymore, but they can still cause the Dolphins fits. We're here to sort that out. Time to talk about the game. Time for Game Day Uncensored. The pregame show for real Miami football fans. Tobin and Solana with Omar and Beasley on AM 560 Sports, WQAM. FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. No matter where you lease your vehicle, bring it to Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC, your lease return headquarters. It's all a part of being backed by Morse. Click EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Tobin and Solana here with you. We are streaming live on YouTube and Twitch, Miami 560 WQAM, and on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Free in your app store. Dolphins and Patriots getting going from Hard Rock Stadium coming up today at 1 o'clock as the Dolphins look to get their record up to 5-6 going into this Thanksgiving matchup on Thursday against the Green Bay Packers. Dolphins 7.5-point favorites coming into this one today. A touchdown and a half against the Patriots after they won by a heel. Obviously, that was a game without on the road in Foxborough. Yeah. That was a crazy game.
Yeah, literally by a heel. I still think that rule is questionable, by the way. Like, if you're facing the other way, but you landed the exact same way, it would have been a touchdown. But because you had your back towards the back of the end zone, you have to have the entire foot in bounds. I don't know. I'll take it, Tobin. I'll take the victory. But because if not, without it, New England would have more wins than the Dolphins. Think about that. So I'll take it, but still a confusing rule.
Well, Miami is 2-2 since Tua's return, and he is playing great. You have power rankings, like the 33rd team has him number 5 so far in the league right now. Slot only behind Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, then Tua. So, and his numbers have been pretty fantastic. You look at this is from Chris Perkins' column. Over his last 4 games since his return, 101 of 130 for 960 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 pick, and a 112.2 passer rating. His numbers have been tremendous. And Tyreek Hill will tell you for one reason and one reason alone. That's because Tua's not fat anymore. Here's the cheetah on Tua Tagovailoa and his performance so far this season.
Frank Smith was saying today that he's seen Tua grow in the area of scramble drill.
Right.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. My biggest thing is he's not fat anymore, so he can move. He's more mobile. I don't know what more to say, but he looks amazing. I don't know what to say.
Wow. That may be the greatest answer Cheetah's ever given. And he's had some doozies.
Ryan Clark somewhere is like, what? That's all I was trying to say last year. That's it.
Can say it. Your friends can say it that other people can't, you know? If it's amongst friends, it's different. If you're just some guy on television who wears a suit with a superhero logo on him, what is that with Ryan Clark?
Yeah,
you see
I don't know.
that he wears? Like, what are you, Iron Man?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Also, all his suits are like half one texture, half another texture. Like he's wearing 2 suits combined into one. It's like when Kelsey's mom goes to the Super Bowl and she has half of her jersey an Eagles jersey, half of her jersey as a Chiefs jersey. That's what Ryan Clark is doing. I don't get it. I don't know.
The Eichenbergs were doing last week. But he's got like this logo that he has. I'm like, looks like you could take that off and throw it like a ninja star.
Yeah. Have you ever watched Game of Thrones? It looks like he was made Hand of the King or Hand of the Queen, and like there's a pinning ceremony, and it looks like if Stephen A. Smith pinned him as the next face of ESPN, you get to wear this pin, sir.
Hand of the take. That's where he's at. But Tua really has looked good, man. I mean, like this is one of the things that for his return, he's such a polarizing topic all the time, and people are always like, oh, he sucks, get rid of him, we're ready to move on to somebody else. This is Tannehill 2.0. But I genuinely, Solana, like I can look over these last 4 games since he's been back and be like, one, I watched the weeks prior when he wasn't here, what a disaster it was. And then you talk about the 4 games that he's been back since, where they didn't win every game, but they certainly were in every game. And I don't know, man. Like, if you want to talk about what the problems are with the team, I don't think he's first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. Like, I don't think he's anywhere amongst the issues as where the Dolphins are in right now, other than his head health.
Yeah, so I mean, is he healthy? Is he healthy? But we've done that conversation a million times.
Right.
Yeah.
But as far as his talent is concerned, no, he's amongst the best players on the team, and he makes everybody better.
He is the most valuable player on the team. It like by a wide margin, by a massive margin. The conversations of, hey, is Mike McDaniel more important to Tua Tagovailoa's success, or is Tua more important to Mike McDaniel's success? Well, you can stop that conversation. We know the obvious answer. It's Tua Tagovailoa, and we saw it over 4 games with how it looks for Mike McDaniel without Tua. So he's the MVP. Yeah, I mean, Tobin, when you look down the list of the roster, I mean, Tua's not even a top 10 concern for this roster. He's just not. Like, when he's out there, everything works, everything flows. We still have the questions, though. Like, the 2 games that they lost were against top teams in the league, right? Arizona Cardinals right now at the top of their division in a loaded division.
We didn't think that at the time, though. I remember doing that pregame. I thought they were a mediocre team coming into their building.
A bit fraudulent.
It really was a spark for them and the rest of the season. Yeah, but I mean, like, you look to those 2 performances, and the Arizona game, he obviously had the botch on the snap. I mean, like, that's not really quarterbacking so much as fundamental catching. I don't know. I don't know what. And him and Aaron Brewer being on the page that they have to be, or Aaron Brewer. The Bills game, he played great. I mean, the Bills game, he had his team. They had a game-tying drive. They lost on a 61-yard field goal that was buoyed by a mole play by Jordan Poyer. So I can't get on him about that game. He played great.
Yeah, and in the fourth quarter, he did what you wanted him to do. Go down the field, go tie the football game. 2 times they did that. Go score us a touchdown. Go put us in a position to still be in this game in the fourth quarter. I'm with you. Like, you can't knock Tua since he's been back, other than the fumbling issue and the fact that he called out the fan base for eating chips, and he told us he's a shortstop. Like, hey, Derek Jeter, settle down, okay?
He is like Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter, wildly overrated at defense. Stone hands. That's what he is.
He made that one good play in the World Series where he got a little bloodied, and
he drove into the crowd. They're
handing him gold gloves. Yeah.
Did the one jump throw, but Derek Jeter sucked as a shortstop. He should have been playing first base a long time ago. He was a bad defensive shortstop.
Why do you have to take it so far, though? Like, he didn't suck. He just wasn't.
He sucked defensively as a shortstop. The only reason that he stayed at he had an ego and didn't want to leave shortstop. A-Rod should have been the shortstop for the New York Yankees after they made that trade, and ego kept him there at shortstop. He wasn't good defensively.
He wasn't great. He didn't suck, though. He wasn't great. He didn't suck. Okay.
Sucked.
All right. I could tell him that you're fully entrenched in your assessment of Derek Jeter.
Fully entrenched in the truth? Yes, you're right. I am. I am fully entrenched in the truth that Derek Jeter sucked defensively.
Well, anyways, Tua has to effing catch snaps. I don't know how else to put it, but he also is going to throw his center out there and say he's got to hike it a little bit better. But other than that, top 10, criticisms of the Miami Dolphins right now, Tua doesn't even scrape that list. He just doesn't. So, but you hope that continues, man. You hope he stays healthy. You hope he continues to play better. And the most impressive part, I know we talked about it a little bit at the start of the show, Tobin, the most impressive part about what we've seen from Tua is that it hasn't just been, hey, I have Tyreek Hill, I have the best player in the NFL, and I'm going to get him the football. That's why I'm so effective. Now you're seeing at the end of games, you go and you check out who's catching passes, and there's 9 different guys who he's getting the football to. He's even getting Odell Beckham Jr. a little bit more involved in the offense, which I thought was literally impossible with the way this season looked for OBJ. So to me, that's been the most impressive part. He's not going through just one read. He's going through his progressions. He's getting out of the pocket. He's able to incorporate Jonnu Smith, get him 2 touchdowns in a game. He's able to get, Malik Washington involved as well. Like, he's doing it with a lot of different options rather than just, I've got the cheetah and I'm going to throw it to him.
I didn't hate that play, though. Didn't hate that plan.
You miss it. I know you do. You miss it.
Speaking of plays, we get to some porpoise props coming on up. What action do we have on today's game? Adam Beasley going to join us later on this hour. Take a break here on Gameday Uncensored. Back after this.
Text WQAM on the
AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It is game day. Uncensored here. 560 WQAM. We go till 12:30 today, a little before Dolphins kickoff against the New England Patriots, because you got some Canes hoops coming up on our airwaves today. But we got our same features. We'll be here today. We got Adam Beasley stopping by. We got Omar Kelly stopping by. All the normal shenanigans will take part here today. But because we are getting off a little bit early, we do want to get to our Porpoise Props.
It's time for...
I don't know about you, but that looked like money.
Porpoise Props.
Hopefully you didn't jinx us.
Props.
Porpoise Props are sponsored by Hard Rock Bet. Hard Rock, roll with us. Solana, I don't know if I've seen Jalen Waddle at this high a touchdown number ever, but he's infringing on 2-1 territory. He's plus 190 for an anytime touchdown today. How are we feeling about Jalen Waddle getting into the end zone? Because that one is speaking to me. It feels like it's been too long. Feels like he's due.
Are you talking about the Dolphins' second best decoy on offense next to Tyreek Hill? You're talking about those two guys?
That guy.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't know
Really?
why.
You're out.
Even though Waddle scores touchdowns against the Patriots, rookie season, first game in New England, got into the end zone. He does score touchdowns against the New England Patriots. He finds a way to get into the end zone. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I saw this clip on Dolphins Talk on Twitter, and it was just, I don't know which Sully and Murph they were, but they were from our sister station, EEI, and they were kind of, giving the goo-goo eyes over to Jalen Waddle, thinking that he's going to ask out if this keeps up. And I will say, like, you watch some of the film that's out there and some of the reviews onto it, like Jalen Waddle, he feels like he's getting open, just no one's throwing to him. I know that he's had some drops, and I know that, you could certainly criticize him about that, but man, it feels like he is an afterthought in this offense. And I just feel like, man, Tua's due for a day to get Jalen Waddle the ball, man. I just feel like it's one of those days, Solana. I don't think we can't keep this up with him just being decoys every week.
What's crazy is Raheem Mostert has had, 4 carries in the last 2 games, Tobin? 3 carries combined in the last 2 games, and his odds are basically the same as Jalen Waddle to catch a touchdown or to get into the end zone. That's embarrassing. A guy who's been frozen out of the offense on purpose by the head coach has the same odds as your number 2 receiver, top 5 paid wide receiver in the NFL to get a touchdown in an NFL game. That is crazy, man. I'm not against it, though. I'm not against it. You're at home. Steven Ross hasn't gotten to do the Waddle yet this year, just because Jalen Waddle hasn't done the Waddle. But Steven Ross likes to beat the Patriots as well. I like it. You talked me into it. I like it.
He's only got 1 touchdown, right?
2, no?
2? Does he have 2?
He had the one in Buffalo, right?
He had the one in Buffalo. They didn't do the Waddle. He had Jonnu and Odell do the Waddle around him.
Oh, he has 1 touchdown this year. You're right. 1 touchdown.
He only has 1. He's due, dude. I'm telling you. It's the good old gamblers. He's due. Dan Day, do you hate the explanation he's due? Or is he not due? Is this just one of them years?
My head says no. I don't like that explanation. But my heart, he's due.
Yeah, he's due. It's like, I don't know.
He has one game this year with more than 4 receptions. 1, and it was against the Jaguars week 1.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like Mike McDaniel's got to kick his feet up on the table. When he's not saving Calais Campbell from getting traded last minute. I feel like he's got to look at Waddle and be like, man, got to get Jalen Waddle the football.
Yeah,
I got to get Jalen Waddle involved a little bit more. make him feel like he's loved,
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I looked at that. I was like,
wasn't that contract showing that he was loved?
Well, it is. But, you got to stroke the ego a little bit, dude. And I was listening to these O'Keefes and O'Malley's. They're like, we can get him. He'll be disgruntled. I'm like, oh, I hate that. I would hate him as a New England Patriot.
Hey, Jalen Waddle to score 2 touchdowns in this game. If you really feel like this is the Waddle breakout game,
okay.
Jalen Waddle to score 2 touchdowns plus 1,300.
Ooh, 2
so
tutties.
If you really feel like this is the Waddle breakout game, maybe throw a little flyer. Plus 1,300, those are decent odds.
I don't hate that. And let me tell you why. Because one thing I do hate is all of you rat bastards getting on my Julian Hill action. I've never seen the number this low. Plus 800.
No, but that's because he threw the ball to Jonnu Smith for 2 touchdowns the other day. You throw it to another tight end. They think, all right, well, he's looking for his tight ends.
This man was plus 2,000 week 3 for an anytime touchdown, which he almost got. And now all of you bastards are getting on my Julian Hill number because he's getting the catches every single week. He's getting very, very close. And now the action's at plus 800. What kind of number is this? I can't get. I mean, people are squeezing the juice out of Julian Hill.
Very, very close. The one time he was in the red zone, caught a pass, he fumbled the football 8 yards away from the end zone, Tobin. He's never been farther away. He's never been farther away.
Last week, he was about 7 yards away from the end zone on the sideline.
I don't like this. I don't like how everybody's getting in on my action. All right, we got to take a break. Adam Beasley from Pro Football Network. We will talk to our boy Bees and get the skinny on what's going on from Hard Rock Stadium. We'll take a break. Adam Beasley from Pro Football Network joins us next.
WQAM broadcasting live from the
Yeah. Thank you.
the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, you rascals. It is game day, uncensored here, 560 WQAM, Dolphins and Patriots. Getting going at 1 o'clock today from Hard Rock Stadium. A man looking dapper, looking professional, looking way too good for this show. Adam Beasley joining us here from Pro Football Network. What's going on, Bees? How are you, buddy? Is everything fantastic for you?
I only get to break out the winter motif like 3 times a year in South Florida, so I am not passing up an opportunity of a game day Sunday to rock the navy blue blazer. I look like I'm about to pledge a fraternity for those watching online.
I'll take you into what we were talking about before you got on here, Bees. My simple explanation for throwing money on Jalen Waddle anytime touchdown today is I've never seen his number that high, and I just feel like the explanation is he's due. Do you like that explanation, or do you feel like they're going to continue to ignore Jalen Waddle today?
Well, what's the number?
It's plus 200. He's never 2-1. He's never that high. He's never that high. He's always more like around, plus 1, plus 10, but it's been creeping up ever so slightly because he's got 1 touchdown this season.
Yeah, and the Patriots defense is historically bad for Patriots defenses. They're not the worst defense in the league, but for a team that you've gotten accustomed to, the Bill Belichick and even Gerard Mayo, you thought they'd have a little bit more fight than they've had this year. Defense is bad. Plus, Christian Gonzalez is banged up. There are a lot of reasons to think the Miami Dolphins could score some points today.
So, as I hear the beautiful national anthem in the background, is this the best stretch we've heard or we've seen Tua Tagovailoa play since when? Like we're all talking about how great the new look offense is right now, more long sustained drives. Like part of that is Tua, part of that is McDaniel. But as far as what we've seen from Tua since he's been back, this is the best he's played since when, Bees?
Yeah, it's funny because 2-3 years ago, certainly the end of the Flores era, if he was averaging 5.5, 6 yards an attempt, like what's going on? What a dink and dunk offense. I think we have a greater appreciation now of what he can do from an accuracy standpoint. He's been so good on third down, guys. That's the difference. Him on third down since he's come back, I think he's had 45 dropbacks in those situations. He's converted 25 of them through the air. They're like 60%. You don't convert that rate of third downs. It's fantastic. So, yes, I think he is playing as well as he ever has. I think they're okay not being a deep shot team anymore. I think they're understanding that, look, they hit the wall last year when teams played that too deep and they couldn't figure out how to get the underneath stuff. Jonnu Smith might be the most valuable pickup they've had this offseason, even more so than Calais Campbell, simply because they didn't have that number 3 option, that tight end who would get open across the middle when teams are playing too high shell. So, I think Tua was playing phenomenally. The teams are smart not to blitz him. He's historically very good against the blitz. You don't want to have one high safety against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. To your point earlier, Waddle's touchdowns, the dearth of those in a lot of ways is simply because teams aren't letting them throw the ball deep. I think it's a sign of growth for this offense. I think the fact that McDaniel's not stubborn, he's not going to keep pounding his head against the wall. They're able to move the ball. They haven't run the ball well the last 2 weeks, and their offense has still been highly efficient. To me, that shows that this is an offense. I might put it going on a limb here, but this is an offense that I think could have a real possibility of making noise in the playoffs, simply because you can't rely on just throwing the ball deep against the Kansas Cities and the Buffaloes of the world. You're going to have to convert third downs and all that. And what we're seeing out of this offense is something we haven't seen out of a Mike McDaniel offense since he's gotten here.
They got to get there, though, Bees. They got to get there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the odds aren't great. I think they're 24% to go to the playoffs. The last time Pro Football Network ran our numbers, that sounds about right. They still are 4-6. It feels like there's this whole new lease on life for the season. And certainly 2-6 was dreadful. I can't believe we were coming on the air and talking about those terrible games every week. It's nice. it's nice to talk about optimism and potential and all that. But if they lose today, it's on to the draft, guys. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we were saying this earlier in the show. We're like, we love making fun of the Jets this week, but it's a very thin line between optimism and being the Jets, because all those stories can come their way if they blow this today, because this is probably one of their bigger layups the rest of the way. You got a rookie quarterback coming into your building. If you don't win this, you're not a real team. If you don't win this game, you're not.
Particularly as well as the offense has been playing for the Dolphins. That's the thing, is they go out here and lay an egg. You don't expect the Patriots haven't scored 30 points all year, I don't think. You don't expect them to need 30 points to win this game. So if you can't get 24 to 27 out of let's be honest, that is a talent bereft defense. I think they have like one or two guys with 5 sacks, and that's it. You're not getting pressure on the quarterback. I mentioned Gonzalez is banged up and have a lot of talent in the back end. You're going to be able to move the ball and score the points. And against, unless Storm Duck and Cam Smith completely lose their minds today, the defense is going to give up a lot of points. So no, I'm with you. This is as must win as it gets, because you turn around in 4 days and you go to Green Bay, and that's a game historically the Dolphins lose every single time.
Hey, Bees, I read your preview, by the way, in Pro Football Network about how the Patriots settle for a lot of field goals. So like you just said, Dolphins put up 30 points, or they shouldn't even need to put up 30 points. They should win. But is there any validity to Drake May genuinely turning some heads today here in Miami? Because you have Josh Allen, who's been our daddy forever, finally got rid of Tom Brady, but here comes Josh Allen. What are your thoughts when you've been kind of watching film and just, researching for Drake May on how he'll look in this game today? Because I did, and I don't want to spoil it, but we have a surprise for the listeners later, but let's just say a prominent former local media member who now writes up in Boston had a hot take about Drake May over Tua Tagovailoa long term. So there's clearly some optimism. Yeah. You know who it is too. Sticking to
that you can just insert any quarterback, any Patriots quarterback in there. Mac Jones, I think he wrote that same column. He may have written that column for who was the guy that had a cup of coffee? Zappy. He probably wrote
Bailey
the same.
Zappy.
Oh my God!
The same column about Bailey Zappy and Tua Tagovailoa. So
but I think Drake May has shown some flashes. To be fair, the Patriots stink this year, we know, but he's looked decent at times. What can we expect from him today? Because there's been some comparisons to Drake May and some other really good football quarterbacks as well.
Certainly his upside's way higher than Jacoby Brissett's. I mean, it's the 15-10 game we saw, whatever that was, week 7. I don't remember what it was at this point, a month or so ago. We're not going to see that game again for many reasons. And he off script, he can do some things that are really interesting. And he's got all the arm talent you need, but he's very, very raw. Like, he was raw coming out of North Carolina. He's still raw now. And you just look at, I'm looking at their depth chart right now. How many of these players would you have heard of if you didn't play fantasy? Ready? Kendrick Bourne, okay, he's a known NFL player. Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte, KJ Osborne, Jalen Polk. Like, this is like the 2019 Miami Dolphins skill position players. Remember how terrible like the first year or two of the flow era was? That's what the Patriots are rolling out there. So sure, Drake May can make some plays. Those dudes aren't going to get open unless something really bad happens in the back end. So yeah, I do think I wrote about this week. This could be we could be seeing a preview of the next decade if Drake goes out there and balls out. And it's Tua and Drake and Josh and whatever the dumpster fire in New York decides to have as their quarterback going forward. But I am intrigued, because you don't want to walk into a game and just not know you're not going to be entertained at all. And Jacoby Brissett was a guaranteed not be entertained. They might win, but it's not going to be something you're going to enjoy watching. I think you're going to enjoy watching Drake May play football every time he plays against the Dolphins.
You buying into this whole Iron Fist Mike McDaniel taking people's jobs, or is this just young guys passing old guys? Or is it a blend of both? What do you make of the whole? Hey, he's holding guys more accountable now, and jobs are being lost.
I mean, cutting David Long was significant. Let's not kid ourselves. It's up to every coach benches players throughout the course of the year, and some of them are bigger money than others. And I get that, but to cut him outright, that to me suggests no. If you there is literally nothing earned here. And he insisted it wasn't to send a message, and maybe it was helped to, since they knew David wasn't in their plans, they did him a solid by cutting him free and all that. That's all well and good. But if you're a guy who's not producing and you see that happen, you see Raheem Mostert, who was a Pro Bowler last year. I think Raheem Mostert the last 2 weeks had 18 total offensive snaps, right? He's had like 6 touches, I think, in the last 2 weeks after a guy that was your absolute bell cow last year. And it's not even like Jalen Wright's getting a bunch of touches. It's all Devon Achane. Like Devon Achane, let's take a second to acknowledge, like, we thought, me personally, I thought going into the year that he would be the change of pace kind of, you don't want to give him more than 17, 20 touches in a game between catches. No, like the guy's legit. The guy's really, really good. And he is forcing McDaniel to keep him on the field. Those are the kind of things you like. And I think all that goes noticed. Durham Smythe is another perfect example. The guy was on the field for, I think, 75% of the offensive snaps last year for the Dolphins. Now it's like 25%, maybe 30. I mean, it's really, really low. Certainly, Jonnu Smith's arrival has changed that, but they had Julian Hill on the roster last year, and we've banged on Julian Hill throughout the course of the season. But the fact that Durham Smythe can't out-snap him, that sends a message to your locker room that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, and you're going to find the pine.
Any concerns regarding like the offensive line in a game like this? I mean, should it matter if your offensive line is healthy? I feel like I always ask you about the O-line bees, but a couple guys are banged up. Obviously, without Austin Jackson, they looked at the very least adequate last week, right? But the run game, as you mentioned, hasn't been as great as it's been. Is there any concern there going into this game?
Yeah, if you're down 3 offensive linemen, sure, it's gonna.
Right.
You're not going to get Austin Jackson back for the rest of the year. Although, I made him my unsung hero of the week for the entire league. Kendall Lamb hung in there against Max Crosby. I know it wasn't a one-man act, but still, I mean, the fact that I don't think he even had a single tackle for a loss in that game. Not a quarterback hit. Like, great job, Kendall Lamb. And there's no one on this Patriots roster that comes close to Max Crosby. Nobody. So, do I think collectively the Patriots can play sounder than they have and maybe give them the Dolphins some fits running the football? Sure. But I don't think this is a game that Tua is going to get hit a bunch. And if they do get pressure on him, that means they're blitzing, and there should be great opportunities downfield for Tyreek. He gets the ball out of his hands so fast, guys. And yeah, the running game could be better. And I think not having Ingold the last couple of weeks has been a big factor in that as well. The running game could be better, but the way that they're able to just have this short passing game that takes the place of 4 or 5 yard runs. The entire name of the game for this team right now is getting 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4 or less, right? 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. If they're going to convert those, maybe not 3rd and 1s, all right? Because this is the Miami Dolphins and they're terrible at short yardage. But like if you're in 3rd and short, manageable, Tua is going to find the open guy. There's way too much talent for other teams to stop them 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, things like that. So however you get to that down in distance, I don't care. If it's running the ball twice, if it's, screen passes, if it's, keep picking up 7 yards in first down and taking a shot in second, which I think they should do more. I don't think they should be totally just grinding out, move the chains. However you need to get in that 3rd and manageable, that's where the Dolphins want to live. When you have a quarterback, I think since he's been back from his concussion, Tua's completing like 78% of his passes on 3rd downs. And 8.5 yards per attempt. And here's the thing. It should be the hardest down to throw the football on 3rd down. 1st and 2nd down are way easier because teams have to think about the run. You're in 3rd down. It's this team, at least, is probably 75, 80% pass plays, right? It should be hard for Tua to have that completion percentage. And he's at his best at 3rd downs. That, to me, suggests, hey, to your point, yeah, they dug themselves a massive hole, but this has the look of a team that is getting better at the right time, which is the complete inverse of what we've seen the previous 2 years.
Here's a random position we don't talk about a lot, but I'm kind of confused by just because I go back to the Patriots game where there were some botch snaps. What's going on with the long snapping position? Why is there this do-si-do all year with Blake Ferguson? Because I saw that he was away for personal reasons, but he's back with the team, yet this Tucker Addington continues to snap for the team. I'm confused by this, Beasley. Can you shed any light on this as to why the Dolphins do this, are doing this like hokey pokey with the long snapper? Like, what's going on here?
What I love about coming on with you guys is you won't put me on the spot because every dime I had to my name, there's no chance I could have thought of Tucker Addington. That's his name? Is that correct?
Yes.
Tucker Addington. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the guy before him was.
I don't remember that guy. The only guy, the reason I remember Tucker Addington is one, the name, and two, his Wikipedia is incredible because he apparently had the fastest speed in history of Texas Long Snapping Association, which is actually a thing. I didn't know it was a thing, but it's a thing. And I was just like, well, I don't understand this. If your long snapper's back, why is he not snapping? Is this like a salary thing? Is he okay? I don't, intend for you to break why personally he was away, but it seems like a strange situation.
Bees, we've been doing a lot of long snapping talk on this pregame show, by the way. Probably too much, but
it is Patriots week. All right. What else can we discuss aside from long snapping? Look, I'm not going to speculate what's going on with Blake Ferguson. Just the contextual clues that we have, it's not physical health. So whatever he's dealing with right now, there's a reason he's not on the field. I think that they are very confident at some point that whatever he needs to get past, he's going to get past, and he'll help them down the stretch. The good news is with the way the elevations work for practice squad, you can kind of get by with playing this do-si-do for a month and a half. At some point, they're going to need to decide on who their long snapper is. And if Tucker Addison does a good job this week and maybe next, and Blake isn't giving signs of being able to be available to them this year, maybe they just, okay, you're Addington, you're our guy the rest of the year. Okay, maybe that's what they do. It would surprise me very much so if they go to a fourth different long snapper after the maximum number of elevations are up. Danny Crossman's a tightly wound guy, and he worries about a lot. Having to worry about fourth long snapper in the course of the season, I don't think is something many special teams coordinators have ever had to consider.
Hey, Bees, what are we rooting for this week, or I guess down the stretch? Because Broncos are 6-5, but their schedule is it's a cakewalk the rest of the way. They play the Raiders today. Obviously, we're rooting for the Raiders. The Colts ahead of us right now in both in the win column. Detroit is going to rock them. So, okay, awesome. If the Dolphins take care of business, they're tied with the Colts. Colts have the tiebreaker, but they're no good anyways. The interesting one is the Ravens and the Chargers. Are those two teams in 7-3, 7-4? My gut tells me, okay, the Ravens are 7-5 if they lose today, but I don't think that team's missing the playoffs, B. So does it even matter who wins that game?
Yeah, you teed me up nicely. We wrote about this morning. Who would you pick? The Chargers or Ravens, if you're a Dolphins fan. And crazily enough, even though the Ravens have the worst record and the hardest remaining schedule, it's actually Baltimore's who the Dolphins fans should want to root for, simply because the Ravens have 2 or 3 really hard games the rest of the season, and the rest are against the dregs of the league. The Chargers, every week is not a coin flip, but it might be 60-40, right? It's there's a lot of games on their schedule that you could see them losing. So, yeah, the math is slightly better for the Dolphins if the Ravens win today. Now, we're not talking massive. We're talking about if the Dolphins win and the Ravens win tomorrow, they're up to 30% instead of 27%, okay? It's still catching one of those two teams is a tall task. I think they're both over 85% to make the playoffs. They're both very, very likely to do so, simply because our advanced stats gives the Ravens so much of a boost because of how good we think they are. Their metrics are so strong, even though they have 4 losses. Their offense is out of sight. What Lamar, last week notwithstanding, what Lamar's doing this year is historic. He is. I know people were talking of Josh Allen after a 1-game sample size, talk about being prisoner to the moment. If that's how those two quarterbacks look for the rest of the season, yeah, Josh Allen's going to win. But the gap is still, in my mind, pretty sizable between Lamar and Josh Allen. So, yeah, Dolphins fans, who you're rooting for today, it's pretty simple. Rooting for the Lions, of course.
Yeah.
Rooting for the Raiders. Fingers crossed on that one. And then Ravens. The Dolphins have a better chance of catching the Chargers than they do the Ravens, even though the Ravens have more losses. So there you go. There's your 30-second summation of Week 12.
Adam Beasley, Pro Football Network. Thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Enjoy the game.
There you go. He's Adam Beasley. Always appreciate him stopping by Gameday Uncensored. We'll take a break. Back with more after this.
Football coverage on Auto Mall Studios. Shop exceptional Cadillac offers now at the 3-time Cadillac Dealer of the Year, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Visit EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com.
Miami, WPOW HD2 Miami, WKIS HD2 Boca Raton, an Odyssey Sports Station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
The Patriots are in town, and they've always caused some nail-biting, as the Patriots have had their way at times with the Finns. When these teams met back in October, it was an ugly win for the Finns. But hey, it's a new week, a new game, and some improvement, says Mike McDaniel.
That is something that has been on the forefront of our guys' minds in terms of, we're finding different ways to execute and move the ball down the field and score points. And I think that's an important part of the process when you're talking about a winning formula for big games and elimination games in particular, which is what we're trying to grow to.
And Tua is ready.
We're preparing for uncertainty, if there is, defensively, but it's very similar to the structure they've had over the past few years when Coach Belichick was the coach there. So we're looking to go out there and play, the plays with what they've presented us over the years. And if we need to adjust in any way, we'll adjust.
The Patriots are not the Patriots of old anymore, but they can still cause the Dolphins fits. We're here to sort that out. Time to talk about the game. Time for Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans. Tobin and Solana with Omar and Beasley on AM 560 Sports, WQAM. FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. No matter where you lease your vehicle, bring it to Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC, your lease return headquarters. It's all a part of being backed by Morse. Click EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here on 560 WQAM. Brendan Tobin here with you alongside my co-host Alejandro Solana. Dan Day producing for us here today. We go till 12:30 today because we got Canes Hoops coming on up, the Charleston Classic. So we'll have that coming your way as Miami will look to get a win in that Charleston Classic. It's been some hard times for them. Canes football got a big time win yesterday against Wake Forest. Really a great performance by the defense. Shout out to them. They needed that one in a big way. They kind of needed to carry the offense. The offense has been doing most of the carrying this season, Solana, but it was nice to see them come through when much needed in this season where Canes definitely feel like they have to win out to get in, because if you're an ACC team with 2 losses, you're probably not getting in.
No, they got to win out. Hey, by the way, the final score of that game, because I was doing a broadcast yesterday for FIU women's basketball on ESPN Plus, so I didn't get to watch the game, but I watched, like the how would you say, like the condensed version last night on YouTube, Tobin. The final score of that game was very different than how it felt going into the fourth quarter. I don't know if it felt that way for you watching it live, but I saw the final score, said, oh, Canes routed them. Then I watched the game, and it's 14-14, and it felt different watching it than it did just looking at the final score.
It was an interesting game because when you go into every Canes game, you're thinking that the 2 guys who got us are Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo, and they had 2 of the most critical errors in the game because Cam Ward had one of the worst interceptions you'll see. He tried to do one of those okey doke shovel passes where he's no looking, and he threw it right to a Demon Deacon. Literally here. You couldn't give a guy an easier interception. And then Restrepo had an awful turnover. But the thing that was great is really after the first drive and then the second drive happens for the Deeks, and they're methodically moving down the field, and they throw just an awful pick 6 to Mish Powell. He takes it to the house. Right after that, the Deacons get Claiborne, who was killing it for him. He has a kickoff return for a touchdown, 100 yards. But then oddly after that, he just starts like throwing up on the sidelines. And mind you, this was not a hot day in South Florida, so I don't know what was going on with the young man. But he, who looked incredible up until that point, he looked like honestly the best player on the field. He wasn't the same guy after that. Not to take credit away from the Canes defense, but the Canes defense from that point on did not give up a mother bleeping thing. Like they were locked tight. And so while, yeah, it was a close game, it really never was. Like, I don't believe Wake Forest completed a pass up until their backup came in late into the fourth quarter. So the defense never really wavered. It was just a matter of when was the offense going to come through. And then you had Jordan Lyle just kill it, just as a running back. Fletcher and Damian Martinez, they kind of took the reins from Cam in a way. Was not a great Heisman performance for Cam Ward, but it wasn't a game. It wasn't a game that really felt in danger at any point once they got that pick six. So
gotcha.
Yes, it was closer than it looks, but in a way it wasn't. It just took a while for the Canes to actually get in the end zone to just put the death knell into the Deacons too. That's the way
I don't want that today at Hard Rock Stadium. I want like start to finish Tua, Tyreek, Jonnu, Achane dominating, and then I want Ramsey, Calais, Sealer, Javon dominating. That's what I want today. Just domination on both sides of the football.
Tua's never lost to the Patriots. I believe Mike McDaniel's only lost to them once. And Gerard Mayo, he was speaking about this, and he even acknowledged, he's like, this is not the same Finns team we faced earlier in the season. Here was the Patriots head coach.
This isn't the same Dolphins team that we played before. That was also a reminder to the guys where you feel like you know a team at the same time. They're going to do things different, and Tua's here, and you can see just the difference in that offense with Tua out there. Very good player for him. Talk about their receivers. Obviously, one word to describe those guys are it's fast. Those guys are blazers, and we have some fast guys on defense too. So this will probably be a little bit more of a matchup game. But those guys have fast players on the outside. I will say the backs don't get enough love. I think their running backs are very good, especially with the scheme that they run. And then the tight end, Jonnu's doing a good job and has been coming on as of late as far as his run after catch stuff. So doing a good job for him there.
There you go, Gerard Mayo, Patriots head coach. You can tell like the respect that he has for Tua. I mean, he's never been on a team that's beaten the guy. He's only been the head coach, this season, but he's been on the coaching staff and has seen and been up front there for plenty of Tua's ass kickings that he's dealt out to the Patriots.
Yeah. He's not gonna get hot taked, or old takes exposed or whatever. He's not gonna come out and pretend like he knows how to stop Tua in this offense. And it's probably a wise decision. Like Gerard Mayo's going through it right now in New England. They have 3 wins. That's 3 more wins than they probably should have. That team is really bad. Bees put it lightly. Bro, that team's not good. We saw it. What was that, week 5, Tobin? When Miami was in New England? That's a bad football team, man. So he knows how the Dolphins are playing right now. He knows how this game probably ends up, which is with a Dolphins victory at home. But it is pretty cool, right, Tobin, to see like the respect people have around the league for Tua overall. Mm-hmm. Compared
especially
to
him. He's like, you can tell he always was like the boogeyman. He goes, yeah, Tua's here. Yeah. I was like, oh, I like that.
Yeah, like people know now. All right, it's Tua. That's the engine there in Miami. It's Tua. It's Uno.
Not to everybody in Boston though. Yeah, you wanted to give this to our audience. So this was on your show last week with Hawk and Crowder.
Yeah. So all right, Ben Volin, senior NFL analyst for the Boston Globe. He used to work here. Ben Volin famously said Mac Jones is better than Tua Tagovailoa. So
call.
Yeah. So Hawk figured, all right, new quarterback battle, Drake May, Tua. You're gonna hear the question here. I'll ask Ben, and this was all planned going into the show. I'll ask Ben whether or not Drake May or Tua long term is a better option. Here was Ben Volin's answer.
Would you rather have as your quarterback moving forward, Drake May or Tua Tagovailoa?
Great question. I promised you before, Hawk, that I had a hot take. Here it is. It's extra spicy. I got to be honest, trying to not be a homer, just trying to look at this realistically. Like, who would I rather have? Going forward, I think Drake May is the better quarterback. I think Drake May's upside is so much higher right now.
Ben,
you are just scratching the surface with Drake May. He's making plays with no offensive line, with no receivers. He's running around like a one-man band out there. He's playing really impressively. His game against the Rams the other day, a lot of people were really blown away by how well he played, especially guys on the Rams. They were very impressed with Drake May. And you put a little talent around him, I think the Patriots could have something. So I think it's bad news for the Dolphins. I think the Patriots have found something with Drake May.
Wow. I mean, you guys said it. Like, I'm not surprised based on his past takes that he was going to go anti-Tua there. Yeah. Isn't that always the funny thing, though? Like, oh, we're just scratching the surface. It's like, yeah, there's no better place to be in there with your quarterback because you just drafted them and there's no $200 million tab on them. Like the rookie quarterback or the first year or the sophomore quarterback has such a charmed life because you don't have to invest all this money in them. You don't have to have a definitive answer on them yet. I'm not saying the kid's not going to be talented, but I mean, to just already go to that place going forward, I don't know, man.
I think he's just he's sticking to his shtick. He's got a bit, and it works for him, and it angers Dolphins fans. But the reason why I wanted to play
he's the least, but he's like he's the least impressive rookie quarterback. Like if we're gonna go out of maybe Caleb because Caleb's starting to get the snot kicked out of him.
So okay, that I agree. I agreed with you until this debate happened, right? Because that continued on for like 4 or 5 more minutes. And Hawk, his point was that, like, hey, look at all the quarterbacks around the league that are rookies. Like nobody's talking about who the hell's talking about Drake May. And Ben's like, no, you're wrong. There are people nationally talking about Drake May. Despite the losses, people are impressed with how he's played. And truthfully, Tobin, I hadn't seen any of that. I hadn't really seen chatter about him. Jane Daniels, obviously, he's going to win Rookie of the Year. Caleb has shown some flashes, I guess. Bo Nix in Denver.
Bo Nix. They have a good. Really has had a good season for them.
They've had a good record. They have a good record. They have had a decent season, bro. Ben starts texting Hawk links to people talking about Drake May. And we were wrong. Like, there's a lot of people impressed with how Drake May has been playing.
All right, but is that the vastness of, like, here's the thing, though. In today's day and age, the vastness of the internet, like, everything is specialized and everybody's got to have a corner on something of, like, I'm going to be the Drake May guy. But in reality, his team sucks.
Yeah.
And the idea that, yeah, he's come into a nice situation. He gets to cut loose. You're not Mac Jones. So you want to talk about, you're also going to have on the mirror of, oh, all I got to do is not be Mac Jones. But the facts are, he's been the least talked about and least impressive rookie quarterback thus far.
Okay. I'm telling you that he probably hasn't been. I think there's been a little bit more attention to Drake May. He's also played less than all the other rookie quarterbacks. Jaden started, Caleb started, and Bo Nix started.
Did he come in week 4? He came in after the Dolphins lost.
Yeah, after the Dolphins lost. So week 6. So he's only been playing
the game. I know that with the concussion, but
he did. Yeah. But over the last couple weeks, there's been people talking about how good he looks. I'm not defending him, by the way. Like, I'm just saying, because the Patriots suck, because they've stunk this year, Dolphins fans probably don't know much about the rookie quarterback they're facing. And I just wanted to let people know, hey, he's probably not Mac Jones. He's probably not as bad as we're all expecting. So if you see somebody who looks decent today, don't be surprised. That's all I'm saying. That's all I wanted to let people know.
He's not Mac Jones is like the lowest bar there could possibly be for quarterbacking.
Listen, man. Don't shoot the messenger. All right, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just giving you.
And you knew it was gonna make me mad. And it's like
you look. So, I wish
just like, oh, he's just scratching the surface of it. It's like, all right, I would hope so. That is what a rookie quarterback is. It is just the surface of his career.
Bro, I wish the radio audience could have seen your face listening to Ben Volen. I mean,
imagine him saying. He said the same thing probably for Mac Jones. Oh, we were just scratching the surface for Pro Bowl rookie Mac Jones. And then what happened? Nope, we realized we hit rock. That was the end. We scratched the surface and then, oh, there's nothing under there.
Yeah. All right, I'm sorry, Tobin. I apologize. I didn't mean to make you upset this morning. I apologize. I just wanted to play something for the people. That surprised me. I didn't know how good Drake May had been looking this over a short sample size. I'll be fair. But I didn't realize how impressive he had looked over the past couple weeks. And he has been. He's been good. Beasley told us too. Beasley told us. I'm not caping up here for
what else are you going to talk
Ben
about?
Volin.
But Solana, let's be real about it, dude. Okay, and I hope this doesn't end with us losing to Drake May. But honestly, dude, what else are you going to talk about with this Patriots team? What else? What else can they lean on other than hope?
Do they have long snapping issues? Because we could do another segment on that.
Look, I think that's a fascinating story. You guys can make fun of me all you want, but the fact that the long snapper is just in the building but not long snapping, nobody finds that weird?
Yeah, it's not because it's the long snapper. I mean, we've done 18 segments on long snapping, and we got to let it go, Tobin. Like whether or not if they trotted out Tucker Addington, but literally just put Ferguson on the back of his jersey, you wouldn't notice. You would have no idea.
Notice. You're right about that. I wouldn't notice. The fact that it's always kind of this thing of they only got one more Addington game, then they got a decision to make is kind of weird for a guy who's not hurt. And I hope everything's okay. I'm not making fun of Blake Ferguson. I'm not doing that. I'm just very confused by this. I've never seen anything like this.
I'm with you. It is interesting.
More
it's bizarre.
Interesting than the fourth best rookie quarterback or the fourth most interesting rookie quarterback in the NFL right now. Take a break. Back after this.
Text WQAM on the Kendall Toyota text line at 3055.
AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. No matter where you lease your vehicle, bring it to Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC, your lease return headquarters. It's all a part of being backed by Morse. Click EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here on 560 WQAM. We will get actives in just a matter of minutes, and we'll go over who is in, who's out for your Miami Dolphins team. The biggest one we're awaiting is Teron Armstead, though it does seem like leaning towards Armstead being out there. I will be honest with you, I'm a little nervous that we're getting to that point of the year where he's playing on a bit of a wobbly wheel and he's not practicing again. And, this has been great. I mean, it's been an incredible run of durability for Teron, but you getting that queasy feeling every time you see him on the injury report, Solana, of like, all right, hope we get to it, or you're just used to it at this point with Teron Armstead?
Well, no, I'm used to it, but it just seems like a matter of time. Like, all right, knee injury. Okay, he played last week. All right, but I have PTSD with Teron Armstead. I know what's coming. There's going to be a stretch of 2 to 3 weeks he just can't play. Like, he's gutting it out right now. But, Tobin, I asked you last week, do we prefer he guts it out now against the teams that you probably don't need him to beat, right? Is that fair? Or is he gutting it out against Las Vegas? He plays today through that knee injury, and then he doesn't practice all of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday – sorry, he's not ready to go against Green Bay, and then Tua gets rocked. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to play it here with Teron Armstead.
I mean, you're already now without Austin Jackson for the entirety of the season. Right. Kendall Lamb was tremendous last week. He did a great job against Max Crosby, and all the metrics on him came back really fantastic. I just feel like if you did a maintenance program with Teron Armstead, that feels like playing with fire in a big, big way. I think if he tells you he can go, you let him go. And then when he won't, whenever that inevitable day comes where he can't, you just kind of deal with it then, Solana. Hopefully that Patrick Paul has been taking enough notes and reps that he'll be, because, I mean, he's getting all the reps in practice, I would assume so, being that Teron is not practicing during the week. So you have to feel like the rookie is at least getting a lot of work with Tua, getting a lot of work with his counterparts there on the offensive line. I don't know if I play that game, though, of, this is a game we could deal without him, because you just never know. You never know who's going to get after you. I know this Patriots defense has been pretty lacking. Last week, they got carved up by Matthew Stafford. No sacks after a week where I think they got 9 sacks on the Bears QB, Caleb Williams. So I don't know, though. I don't think I get tricky with it.
I get playing with fire. I realize you're right. Look, the Dolphins have to win every game. They have to win this game. You can't just assume this is going to be a win. They have to have their team out there. But if the difference is he plays today, but he doesn't play Thursday, or he doesn't play today, but he does play Thursday, Tobin, I think you're with me. You'd rather have him out there against Green Bay on Thanksgiving night.
Yeah, if I had to pick.
If you had to pick, right.
If I had to pick, like if you're telling me I only get one game, do I get the guaranteed winner? But if I had to go, yeah, I'd probably go that direction. But hopefully I don't. Hopefully he'll be good. Now Now I will say it's short week, so maybe there's some thought of that too. Like there's is the quick turnaround, is that possible for somebody of him? Right. I guess we'll find out here shortly. Real quick, our keys to the game are brought to you by Doral Hyundai. At Doral Hyundai, choose from over 1,300 new Hyundai models in inventory, like the Tucson, the Sonata, and the Palisade. Remember, when it comes to Hyundai, the great deals are at Doral Hyundai. For this game, this was a game last week where the Patriots gave up a lot of yards. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, both went off for over 100. You feel like it's possible, Slot, to keep that trend going. Let the Cheetah and Waddle go out there and run. We talked a little bit about Jalen Waddle and his quiet performance so far this season. Or do you feel like this is another Jonnu Smith game? Because Jonnu has been absolutely steamrolling so far. Obviously, it had over 100 last week, but really has found his stride for this Dolphins team.
Yeah, Paul's all the way mother bleeping up, baby. I think it's another Jonnu Smith game. I really do. It's the only bright spot about FIU football right now because, oh my God, are they bad on the football field this year? The actual FIU Panthers team. No, but seriously, Jonnu Smith, I gave him a ton of hell over the first couple weeks because we talked about the Jonnu Smith package and we never saw it. And then now we're seeing how important it is to have somebody underneath. It's been HN and it's been Jonnu feasting. And he has good hands, Tobin. He really does. That first touchdown pass that he caught was a heck of a play. I think Tua likes getting him the football. I'm not as happy about Tyreek and Waddle being decoys. I'm really not. But as long as you have that outlet, that third, fourth receiver who you're comfortable are going to catch passes. I think HN has caught 23 of the last 25 attempts thrown his way. I know most of them are checkdowns, but bro, that's efficiency. That's working right now. Jonnu Smith has similar numbers also where he's catching everything coming his way. You feed the hot hand. Right now, it's been those two guys.
We'll take a break. Expect to get your actives and actives. Omar Kelly going to join us at the top of the hour. Back with more Game Day Uncensored after this.
I'm Haywood Highsmith from the Miami Heat. Listen to our games here.
The Heat are
a.m. FM 99.9 HD2 and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Rex Ryan's teeth are distractingly white. I can't deal with it, Solana.
It's too much. Like he got the choppers that are too good for him, right?
Yeah, man. You think he's going to be the next Jets coach? You think that's where they're going to go? They're going to go old well with the Jets?
I mean, I'm down. We know how that ends. Like they're going to have one really good season, and then they won't make it to the AFC title game, but they'll have a good season. And he'll be rah-rah guy, and then they'll fall flat on their face, as they always do. Like, we know how that ends. I'm cool with it.
It should be funny. I don't know who's going to take that job knowing what Woody Johnson is doing there right now. It's pretty crazy. Let's get to our actives and actives brought to us by JM Lexus in South Florida. When you think football, you think Miami Dolphins and Miami Hurricanes, but when you think Lexus, think JM Lexus. Well, right now, they've got it all for fall. Not too much news on the people out. Everybody out is expected. We knew Kendall Fuller was going to miss the game. He is still out with that concussion. Ethan Bonner, Jeff Wilson, Mo Kamara, Andrew Meyer, Jack Stoll, the tight end, and D. Eskridge. So no real surprises. You notice I did not mention Teron Armstead. He is active today. So he is active, and Alec Ingold active today. So those are the big additions back for the Miami Dolphins. Solana should speak well for the run game today for the Miami Dolphins, having Ingold back in the fold.
Yeah, I mean, I've been critical of the run game, but a lot of people in our chat have pointed out, well, yeah, because Alec Ingold isn't out there to just bulldoze everybody in front of them. So hopefully that works, right? Hopefully, even for Raheem Mostert's sake, you just get Alec Ingold in front of you on those few carries he's going to get, and he makes the most of it. But if you think about the Dolphins' offense, it's been perfect from a pass game perspective. Short, efficient, quality. The one thing lacking has been the run game. Hopefully, that's the difference today, man. Alec Ingold. We'll see how important he truly is to that running game today.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. You definitely want to see what he can bring to the table for this team. And really in this matchup with the Patriots, you want to be able to mix it up. Their defense is not the defense that we're used to. But the Dolphins offense, I think that's been the thing that's been exciting about it, though maybe it's not as exciting about, the product you're watching. It's exciting because they don't get shut down. They take what's there.
Yeah.
They march down. They really dictate the terms of the game. And there's definitely been a maturity there. And that's one of the things that I got to give Mike McDaniel credit on. I don't know how much to buy into this whole, he's Iron Fist Mike. He's taking jobs and taking names. But I do think that this guy has matured as a coach. I think that this guy almost used to run these sidelines like he was running a Madden game. And now I do feel like, all right, he's growing up a little bit. He's figuring out, all right, how do I just get the win? How do I figure out what's the important thing? And I think that there's been a balance there, because there was a point where I was wondering, is he getting a little too timid? Is he shook by not having Tua out there? And I think that there's been some growth that has come out of the other side, that we have a better head coach than they did to start the season, even with the record maybe not reflecting it.
Yeah. I'm with you, by the way. I don't think he has an iron fist at all. I really don't. Like, I don't think Mike McDaniel is chewing out guys and saying, hey, Raheem, sit your ass down. Like, you fumbled, sit your ass down. I don't think he approaches it that way. Whether or not he's limiting his carries, Tobin, like, I think that's a different conversation, but I don't think he's chewing anybody out and he's coming down hard on them. I just think he schemes differently, and that's the way he gets his message across. But overall, one other thing I wanted to mention, Tobin, by the way, regarding this injury report, before I forget.
Yep.
Isn't it a delight that the Dolphins are trying to string wins together, and we perhaps have like the best injury news of the season? Everybody's healthy other than Kendall Fuller. Like, every other name on that list are guys who haven't played this year. Jeff Wilson, just a bunch of names. And it's so unlike the Dolphins. at this point in the season where they need to put out victories, where they need to go win games to not be injury ridden, right? I mean, you can talk about the injuries before the season, Bradley Chubb and JP, but I'm talking about the roster right now. It felt like last year guys were dropping like flies at this part of the season. And it's a relief to approach this game and not feel that way, where you're like, oh, this game's hanging in the balance. Is Waddle going to be out there? Is Tyreek going to be out there? It doesn't feel that way this year.
No, it definitely doesn't. You definitely seem like you're well put together. I mean, you did lose, Jackson for the year, which is unfortunate. We lost Jalen Phillips in the middle of the year. But as far as guys right now during the stretch run when things are going in a good direction, no, it seems like the news is as good as it can be. The last thing and the real last piece, and I don't know where there are to count on this, Solana, because it probably depends on where they are in the race. But imagine the Dolphins are able to win these next two, and you're talking about, is Bradley Chubb going to come into the fold as almost like a last second addition? Because it does feel like the last thing that this Dolphins team could really need is to have a monster pass rush influence. Count our chickens a little bit because they got steps ahead. But if the Dolphins are able to get these next two, and then all of a sudden, oh, you got a long rest week. By the way, we're opening it up Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb's going to make his comeback. Man, I feel like that. Then you're talking about a team that who gets to make that kind of addition at this point in the season. Now I don't know what to expect.
I didn't think about that. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from either. But I didn't think about that. Like, you win these next two games, you're 500, and all of a sudden you're talking about Isaiah Wynn being healthy. You're talking about Bradley Chubb maybe looking like somebody who can help you in the pass rush.
At least you'll be able to bring at least even on pass rushing downs, like just, hey, have go out there, just cause havoc, Bradley. Go do your thing. And they obviously feel like they're being more conservative with this than they were with the Jalen Phillips thing. Jalen Phillips wanted to get back for the start of the season. It was a big year for him, and it was important. And bad luck happened his way. But man, if they do have that, if they can somehow get this thing into a fold where, oh, you're going to have Bradley Chubb for the stretch run, that'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that would be pretty crazy. I know Brian's saying in the chat, don't jinx us. I know. I'm just trying to throw it out. Maybe this is going to happen in the atmosphere, dude. Who knows?
Yeah.
If the season's lost, then what's the point of bringing it back? I'm just saying, if they could actually get it back to the point where the games are going to matter for the last 6 weeks, I mean, that would be some kind of addition the Dolphins could make.
For sure. By the way, Isaiah Wynn is out today. I know he wasn't on the inactives list, but he was downgraded out yesterday. So no Isaiah Wynn. But I think Mike McDaniel said by hopefully next week. So I mean that's good. I mean, you lost Austin Jackson. You'll take all the help you can get. Chris Greer's deep offensive line. Isaiah Wynn's a big part of that, brother. So they could use him out there.
Still a ridiculous thing for him to say. I don't like.
I know some people are kind of, they're willing to concede on that. I read some interesting stuff this week. I know you're not.
I'm not waiting because once we get to the finish line of the season, then we can talk, and then we'll be like, all right, you know what? Props.
Okay.
You
want a full sample size. You want a 17
I want a full
sample
size. Excuse me for wanting a full sample size. If I have to go, like we said, if Teron Armstead is worn down to the no tread by the end of the season, then what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well, we were going at this with a rookie at left tackle. We had so much depth, but it's been good. It has been good. I will, and then Tua this week talking about Aaron Brewer being like, I want him here for a long time, and I was like, right, can you guys just get, as long as we get those snaps on point too, I'm all for it.
I don't know, man. He kind of threw his boy AB under the bus a couple weeks ago. Now all of a sudden they're best of buds. That sounds like somebody, trying to cover his tracks a little bit.
Maybe
in front of the media. That's what it sounds like to me. Hey, by the way, I love that Chris Greer at this point of the season can't have any sort of faith in Patrick Paul. I'm sorry. None of us have any faith in Patrick Paul going out there and starting a game. Like, do we know he's a project long-term? Yeah, I'm with you. But starting a game right now, would you feel comfortable, Tobin, Patrick Paul starting a left tackle?
I don't think I'd be.
If you have to do that sound, you're not comfortable with him.
I think the answer is I don't know. Like, I don't know if he can or not. I know that he's an absolute behemoth and a giant. So, part of me feels like he would be fine. He has played already this season. It's not like he's got no experience. So I think they'd be okay. But but I don't know. I mean, but he's 6'8". He's bigger than everybody, dude. Like I don't think I'd be as scared for him being out there. If they had to move him around, like if Kendall Lamb got hurt and then be like, all right, good, go get him, kid. You got to go to right tackle now. And then all of a sudden he's got to change his footwork. That would almost make me more nervous than if he had to fill in for Tehran. Knowing that they're doing a little bit of work with him and they're starting to work him out both ways and things like that. But hopefully things just stay the way they are. This is delightful. I am enjoying this very, very much. Do you see the reports out here nationally today that the Dolphins are considering, or the Dolphins are one of the teams that's supposedly interested in Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
Do you have any interest in that whatsoever of bringing in Daniel Jones?
I kind of do. I'm not gonna lie. Bring me Danny Dimes.
Why?
Because he's better than Skylar Thompson.
That's fair. It's a good argument. He's better than
right?
Snoop.
And Snoop. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he's better than Snoop Huntley for this team. I think overall he is better than Snoop Huntley. Why? Because he got paid, and Snoop Huntley has been a perennial practice squad backup. So I think the proof is in the pudding there. But Snoop Huntley's on IR. Like everybody forgets, Skylar Thompson is your backup quarterback, and Tim Boyle was ahead of, which doesn't help my argument, but was ahead of Daniel Jones in the depth chart in New York. So he's gone, and CJ Beathard's gone. So all the quarterbacks that you've signed this year, outside of Skylar Thompson, who we know got one opportunity and was an unmitigated disaster.
Yep.
Right now, are gone or on the IR.
He just got the yips. How could he be that bad?
I think he did get the yips. I really do. Oh, part of me, Tobin, wants to kind of see Skylar one more time. No. But I know it's just the dumbest thing that I could say. I realize it's the dumbest thing I could say. Because how I refuse to believe that over 3 years, under this system, under McDaniel's tutelage, that's how he looked. I refuse to believe it. Like, I think he just got nervous. Doesn't deserve another chance. He really doesn't. He doesn't. Even if that was the case, even if he just got nervous, doesn't deserve another chance. But you're telling me, let's say Tua, knock on wood, brand new wood and desk. Let's say Tua hurts his finger. All right, I'll keep it very very simple. Hurts his finger. Has to come out for a series.
Ugh.
Who would you feel more comfortable with in the fourth quarter for one series? Daniel Jones or Skylar Thompson?
I guess I got to pick Daniel Jones.
All right, yeah.
I guess
the lesser of two evils. Sign me up. Give me the Danny Dimes experience.
Good. I mean, the only thing he did get just he's not very good, dude.
Yeah, but he's better than anything else we have behind Tua Tagovailoa, isn't he? And he has playoff experience. He's won a playoff game.
It's like being the fastest slug, dude. Like I don't really.
No.
Yeah, I think he's
won a playoff game.
And they ousted him.
Daniel Jones has more playoff wins than the Dolphins as an organization have in 24 years. Don't and me.
They seem to value that very much.
Yeah.
We'll take a break.
The team the Giants built around him the last couple of years is a disgrace. I'm not telling you Daniel Jones is a top 10 quarterback, but I don't think he's as bad as he's looked over the last couple of years. I think that team failed him. And if you're telling me towards the rest of the season and maybe next year, I'm willing to have that conversation. You can have a guy who's won a playoff game and who's been the leader of an organization as your backup quarterback when Skylar's your only other option. Bro, sign me up.
We'll take a break. Omar Kelly from the Miami Herald. We will talk to Omar, get his thoughts as we'll have an abbreviated version today. Our final segment coming on up. We will spend it with Omar, getting you ready for Dolphins and Patriots Game Day Uncensored. Back after this.
WQAM.
and elimination games in particular, which is what we're trying to grow to.
And Tua is ready.
We're preparing for uncertainty if there is defensively, but it's very similar to the structure they've had over the past few years when Coach Belichick was the coach there. So we're looking to go out there and play, the plays with what they've presented us over the years. And if we need to adjust in any way, we'll adjust.
The Patriots are not the Patriots of old anymore, but they can still cause the Dolphins fits. We're here to sort that out. Time to talk about the game. Time for Gameday Uncensored. The pregame show for real Miami football fans. Tobin and Solana with Omar and Beasley on AM 560 Sports, WQAM. FM 99.9 HD2 and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. No matter where you lease your vehicle, bring it to Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC, your lease return headquarters. It's all a part of being backed by Morse. Click EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here on 560 WQAM. Brendan Tobin here with you alongside my co-host Alejandro Solana. Dan Day producing for us today. And let's get to that part of the show we love, which is talking to Miami Herald, Miami Dolphins columnist Omar Kelly here on the program. Hello, Omar. How are you?
How are you gentlemen doing?
Very good, buddy. Very good. It's a beautiful day, and hopefully the Dolphins can kind of keep the train rolling here, man, and don't become the next version of the Jets in the NFL.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. I found it interesting that the Patriots have one less win than the Miami Dolphins, but yet the Dolphins are considered on the upswing. Patriots can spoil their season if they can manage to upset Miami, but I don't think that there's a chance in that happening.
I mean, they could send it into chaos, can they not, Omar? Like, everybody's feeling good right now, and we're talking about this revamped offense and Iron Fist Mike McDaniel. But if they upset the Dolphins today, people are going to be furious.
I don't know where we get this Iron Fist Mike McDaniel, and let's discuss that. It's just not in his personality.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you.
I think that he's probably made an effort to sort of change that. And I think that it doesn't feel very natural to him. It's a great way to do it by, punishing the guy you're probably closest on the team to in Raheem Mostert. And, but when Raheem has cost you 2 games with 2 critical fumbles, I mean, it's a great way to set an example. I don't think David Long was an example being set. I think David Long was an act of desperation. Did he need to be cut? No, because there's no way that Channing Tindall deserves to be on this roster more than David Long. But I think it was give him an opportunity to go latch on with another team, and he did that with the Detroit Lions. So, it was trying to do the veteran a solid, and that's the one thing I could always expect and respect about this team. They try to make sure there's such a player-friendly team. They try to make sure they take care of all their players, and that leads us to the Calais Campbell situation, which I'm sure you guys haven't saw and discussed.
Yep.
Ian Rappaport's report.
It's a strange report, man, because it's like we were kind of laughing at the idea of like Chris Greer's on the phone and Mike McDaniel does what, like dive onto the conference call to stop him.
It's not all. You're not getting the full truth. What you're getting is the agent's agenda, and the agenda is being put out there to try to force Miami's hand. Here's what happened, and I've known about this and kind of hinted at what the ultimate end goal is, which is the Baltimore Ravens offered, yes, a 5th-round pick for Calais. The Dolphins discussed this with Calais, and Calais ultimately decided that, hey, I don't want to be traded. I want to finish what I started here with this team. It wasn't of Mike McDaniel going to, Calais truly believes that this team can win out and get to the playoffs and make some noise, and that's why he's here. Now, because keep in mind, when the trade deadline was up, They didn't even have Zach Sealer. He was out with that eye injury.
Right.
You trade away Calais Campbell, season done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Omar, what's funny to me is that the tweet almost frames it as like Mike McDaniel saves Calais Campbell from being traded. But I mean, take this context out of it. Just in general, hey, head coach of a football team, do you want us to trade one of your best players? Well, no. Like every head coach is going to say, no, I want more talent. I want more talent. What? No, don't trade my guy. So, I mean, that's the job of the general manager. Sorry, I know you like this guy, but this move benefits our franchise. I have to pull the trigger on it. So that's why I'm confused.
It was discussed, but it wasn't necessarily going to be executed unless Calais wanted it to be executed. Understand, Calais took a below market deal. He took less money to come here to Miami to play for a contender, and come here and play with Anthony Weaver. He was literally the last signing. He is literally the team captain, the alpha of all the alpha males. So he's a valuable presence here. He decided he did not want to be traded. In condition, there also was a wink-wink agreement that if we are not in the playoff hunt, will you do me the favor of releasing me before the season's up so that I can go play for the Ravens or the Chiefs or the Lions, a team that is in the playoff hunt, because I'm trying to end my career with a Super Bowl ring.
I think it's a nice thing to do. I mean, I know people, when you were hinted to it on the radio, people were giving you hell for it. But honestly, the guy's basically rallying your entire team. He's very clearly the voice of the team that they're putting out there once they do win. I don't really have a problem with it if it were to happen. I hope that it doesn't, because I love Calais Campbell. I don't want him to be anywhere else.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, you don't want to see Calais go win a championship if you're not in the mix for a playoff?
No, when I say I hope that it doesn't, I hope they're not in a position where they're doing right by him. Like, I hope they take this thing to the bitter end.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
I don't. We know better.
But Omar, even
if they lose today, I'd say, hey, like, pick where you want to do. We'll tell everybody to back off.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Omar, are you surprised Calais didn't almost try to force his way out of here? Like, look, I think it's admirable what he's doing. He believes in this group. He believes in this team. I think it's great. Like, genuinely, he's been 10 times better than what I could have imagined here in Miami. A million times better. But with that being said, okay, his ultimate goal is to go win a Super Bowl. I mean, come on, let's be honest about this entire experiment. Like, it's been a failure what the Dolphins have done this season. Pause. It's been a struggle because you played 4 games without Tua and delivered the worst offense in the NFL. Right, but who's that on, Omar? I mean, that's on the general manager and the coach, is it not?
That's on injuries. I don't even know if you had Jimmy Garoppolo if you were going to come here and absolutely just tear it up and win games without Tua. And that's what people don't understand. Tua is a very good quarterback. Tua is a very efficient quarterback. I wrote a piece in today's Miami Herald that I really want everybody to read, because it puts Tua in a company of NFL elites. He is on the verge of becoming the 10th quarterback in NFL history who's produced back-to-back 100 passer rated seasons. That's what he's on pace for this year. Him, there are 2 others. I think Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson, maybe. No, Joe Burrow and Jared Goff, who are on pace to do it this year as well. They're all 100 rated quarterbacks right now. And the company we're talking about is Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Steve Young. Russell Wilson's the worst quarterback in that list. Like, and so if he does that, and we all know Tua's going to be close, if not 100 rated quarterback. If he does that, how could you say he's not a good quarterback? Yeah, you could say, oh, he hasn't beaten a big team. He hasn't won a big game. He hasn't won a playoff game. Okay, that's great. That's all well and good. But do you not watch your team have efficient quarterback play week in and week out and say to yourself, God, this guy is different than all the other quarterbacks we've had for the last 2 decades?
Omar, I'm with you 100%. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I think Tua proved himself over those 4 games without him that he's the most valuable. Tobin and I were talking about it earlier. he's the most valuable player on this team, and it's not close. So I'm with you there. But when I say that this season has been a failure, and I hear you. I hear the injuries, and I think that's a fair conversation to have. But when you think of the expectations coming into this year, and you think of the 4 teams Miami played without Tua Tagovailoa, the Titans, the Patriots, the Colts, and the Seahawks, not going 500 in those games, and at that point salvaging a really bad situation,
and then losing 2 with him when he came back.
Correct. In my opinion, is a failure, and what led them to lose those games, in my opinion, was a lack of just awareness about what the reality of your backup quarterback situation was. So I'm with you in terms of you lost Tua, you lost your starting quarterback. I mean,
Not fair. During that stretch, they were playing their number 3 quarterback because they've clearly said and stated that Skylar Thompson is our number 2 quarterback, even when he returns. Remember, Skylar broke his rib. Skylar broke his ribs early in the Seattle game, and that wasn't public knowledge until after the fact. And am I justifying that on why he played so poorly? No, I'm not. But this team believes in Skylar. Now, why? I don't know. But they do.
Come on, Omar.
Well, they're wrong. You don't know. We don't know. He could be great in the quarterback room. He could be good at the jokey jokes. You don't know.
Well, they could believe in him, but they're wrong, Omar. We all saw it. Like, I mean, 3 years now, and we saw it. It all came to fruition in Seattle, and the guy looked lost. Like, at a certain point, when we could say they believe in him, and that's cool. I think he's a great guy. I've met him before. I think he's a great guy. But he's not good at football. Like, he's just not.
Just throwing I met him at us.
Yeah, like I feel bad. Like I feel bad hating on him. He's a nice guy, but he's not good at football. He's just not.
They lost 2 of the 3 games that they played with their number 3 quarterback. I think if most teams played their number 3 quarterback, they would lose 2 of their 3 games. Not to say that, hey, you should have had a better quarterback, because you should. Now, when Tua came back, people forget that, hey, the defense was playing without 3 starters on it, and Zach Sealer, Javon Holland, and Kader Kohu. Not to say, and how did the team lose? Because the defense couldn't end games. Now, these things happen in the NFL season, but still, this team is potentially on the verge of getting to 10 wins. And if they get to 10 wins, they'll probably get in. In Calais' mind, and understand, I think he's delusional. He thinks that they can win out. He thinks that he thinks they have no margin for error in terms of taking a loss, and he thinks that this team has the capabilities and abilities to win out. And hey, this is a football player. He knows his team. He's forgotten more football than I know. So hey, what do I know? But the point is, that's why he's here. That's why he continues to be here. That's why he continues to drive this team from a leadership standpoint. And that's why he, not Mike McDaniel, basically nixed a trade.
Do you like this new style that the Dolphins are running? The ball control, keep drives going. Do you feel like this is sustainable and is going to benefit them if they do end up being contenders?
I don't think they have a choice until you. Here's how teams are playing them. Take 2 safeties on the top. It's like a lid on the jar. It's like there's nothing you could do about it. Now it opens up your run. It opens up the run game, and it opens up the check down. They're going to have to feast on the run game and the check down. The problem that I have right now is the run game has taken a bit of a dip. Now, why has it taken a bit of a dip? Some people have the theory it's because they don't have Alec Ingold. I have the theory that it's the amount of injuries that they've sustained on the offensive line, and it's kind of, if Teron Armstead's out there playing at 70%, are you going to get that extra 30-yard burst from the left side? Robert Jones is out there playing at about 75%. Same thing. You're going to watch Liam Eichenberg playing with a shoulder harness. If somebody's playing with a shoulder harness, that means their shoulder's jacked up. I'm not delusional. I've been doing this a long time. So, and I also think that not having Raheem Mostert, and I know everybody's a Raheem Mostert hater now. He's probably, right up there with Julian Hill in terms of the least popular guy on the team. But I believe how do you deny what Raheem Mostert did last year? How do you sit there and say, like, oh yeah, he's a bust now, when the guy just set a franchise record for touchdowns? And I think he's still that back. It's just right now he got to work his way out of the coaching staff's doghouse.
You don't think it's possible at all, though, Omar? Like, I mean, what he did last year is pretty much a marvel after the age of 31.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it just caught up with him.
Catching up to him. Yeah. That's possible, but understand he's at 31, but he had very little mileage on his tread early in his career. Now, he's had 2 injuries, so you know the one thing they say about age is that when you suffer an injury, it takes you longer to come back from it. But really, if he hadn't had those 2 fumbles, he'd still be out there getting the ball. And if he's getting the ball, he'd still give you the productivity. They've had like 1 big run the entire season. Last year, you were good for like, what, a big run every other game?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have to get back to that. And once they get back to that big run, then maybe teams will take the 2 safeties off the top of take the lid off and put one of those safeties in the box and open up the passing game. We know that Tua can throw the ball deep. It's just a matter of having that opportunity. And right now, when you're completing nearly 74% of your passes, like, why are you complaining? Why are you crying about? And you're converting third downs at an efficient rate. You're scoring touchdowns in the red zone at an efficient rate. It's like, well, you know, Tua truly believes this is what I got to do to win, which is take what opponents are giving me. And this is the way the offense is designed. This is the way it's built. If you know, they it's not like they're not calling big plays. It's just that they're not there.
Omar, before we let you go, you said the Dolphins should handle the Patriots today. Is there anything that you've seen from New England, any player, anything that makes you think for a second, okay, they can do this to beat the Dolphins today?
Drake May would have to channel his Josh Allen and become a threat, not only throwing, but scrambling. I think that's the only way. He's got to rush for 80 yards. He's got to throw 2 deep bombs. Dolphins got to turn the ball over. But there's just such an imbalance in terms of talent on both of these teams that it's not even a chance.
So Omar Kelly, go follow his work at the Miami Herald. We always appreciate him stopping by Gameday Uncensored. Thank you, Omar.
All right, guys.
There you go, Omar Kelly. Go follow his work today and follow his tweets. He's been tweeting up a storm today. He's been giving you the goods on social media.
Yeah.
So go check him on out. Solana, we only got about 4 minutes left here before we have to hand things over to Joe Zagacki as the Canes are going to take on VCU at the Charleston Classic. So let's predict the game ball before we get out of here, dude. Who do you got? Last week you nailed it. You picked Jonnu Smith. He went for over 100. Who do you got today?
You almost talked me into Jalen Waddle. You did. But you know what? Yeah, you almost talked me into Jalen Waddle. How about Tua? How about Uno? I feel like we don't give Tua, and maybe Omar convinced me a little bit. I'm easily swayed, Tobin. I don't know if you've noticed, but you didn't like my I've met Skylar Thompson take.
I just didn't know what it meant. Anything. I
don't know.
Skylar Thompson. Like, when have you met him?
Yeah, I mean, a couple times. We've all been in.
When you were like on the team plane, like you're like, oh, sorry, Mr. Thompson, go ahead.
Yeah, I asked him to hand me a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and he was very kind.
You did. Skylar Thompson on the plane?
What? No, I do not. Skylar and the quarterbacks were up top. But anyways, I like Tua because, even I did this whole thing about Drake May and he's coming in, and you heard Omar there, right? He has to channel his inner Josh Allen. Bro, Tua's playing at an unbelievable clip right now. He just is. So I'm the first guy to tell you he hasn't been a good team. He hasn't been a playoff team. But I can also acknowledge the fact that he's playing really good football. And sometimes you're playing really good football and you go into an environment where you're playing against a really bad team. That makes for 300 plus yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns, like a big time game this season. He's played well. He's had good games. He hasn't exploded in a game yet. To me, this is the one he will.
I hope it is. I mean, like, I think this is definitely set up for him because, you got a banged up Patriots team. Christian Gonzalez is playing today, but he is not 100%. So maybe that's something that they take advantage of. And we see the 2 sports cars get out there and he takes them for a spin a little bit. I'm going to go with Achane. I mean, Achane has just been the monster lately. It just feels like he has been the heartbeat of the offense and keeping things going. And so I think that does keep going today. I think that, Vegas thinks that's the way that's going to go too.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, guy doesn't drop balls. He's, finds his way into the end zone. He's done a tremendous job. And I also got to be, looking on the other side of the ball, Solana. I mean, Calais has just been an absolute monster, but Zach Sealer for me is just like he since he's come back from this injury with the visor, he's also been just as much of a menace. Those two are just such the heartbeat. So On one side of the ball, I'll go Achane. The other, I'll go Zach Sealer for this one.
Shame on both of us for not picking Tyreek Hill. Dude, I don't know if you saw this video. In warmups today, caught a pass, a deep ball, just flying like a go route behind his back.
Did you see that Odell was wearing a Jarvis Landry jersey? Did that give you goosies?
No, it did not give me goosies.
You don't like Jarvis Landry?
I like Jarvis Landry, but I mean, look at the two guys we've had since Jarvis Landry. Like I love Jarvis when he was here, but I mean, he was catching 17 passes for 22 yards. Like we have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I don't miss the Jarvis Landry era at all. The zero part of me misses the Jarvis Landry era.
King of catching a ball and then just punching someone like right in the face for an unnecessary roughness. I mean, like, that negated everything.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? It's today. We have this game coming up at Hard Rock Stadium. Now we got to pass it off early to Joe Zagacki as Miami Hurricanes basketball is coming your way here on WQAM. We got Heat basketball. You'll hear Solana later on today as the Heat take on the Dallas Mavericks. No Terry Rozier, but Jimmy Butler will play according to reports. No Luka, but we got that all coming your way. Canes Hoops is up next.
We've done what we can do to get ready for this game. Now, it's up to the Dolphins. This has been the Week 12 edition of Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans. We'll talk to you on the